Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. Welcome on in. It's lovely to see you all. Now, part of the reason I've started a couple of moments early is because I'm getting very, very confused. Over on my left here, I have my laptop, which has the streams open so I can make sure they're up and working. And on my PC, I have OBS, which does all the relay stuff. And according to the stream over on my left, that's been going longer than I've actually been streaming. It's like 2 seconds ahead. So I want to see if my laptop can now tell me the future. Because in theory, that should know what's going to happen 2 seconds ahead of time. It's not enough time for me to react. So, you know, like if I see a bus come crashing through the window and I'm fucked, but I'm intrigued by it. I'm very, very intrigued by it. I hope everyone is doing well. And welcome on in to the things that are slightly making me mad today. We have the beautiful, the glorious, the wonderful Kokusmelshin. Work has just finished just in time, perfectly timed. We have Zerachul in as well, who's had a nap, and I am therefore very, very jealous. RJ has been on a tractor. I am equally jealous. So this was going to be the next question I was going to pop into chat, RJ, was what is Belgium's opinion of migrant workers on farms, specifically ones that don't speak French or Flemish or any of the any Belgian dialect, maybe like fat Englishmen who've got no farm experience. That's not true. I did do some voluntary work down on a farm about 15 years ago, but that's not enough, because it looked glorious. I'm not that fussed about the track stuff. I'll be honest. I'm more of like a how do I say this? Oh. I was going to say I'm more of like a livestock person, but that sounds like I want to do weird stuff to animals, and that doesn't sound good. So thankfully, hopefully that the qualifier before that means that if anyone tries to clip this, you can't take it out of context. Yeah, so if they want, I'm happy. Like, I just need a roof and some internet. I don't even need pay. Well, I need a roof, food, and internet. I don't even need pay, so should all be good. So you say, well, RG didn't have farm XP before, so there we go. I did not, but now on a car farm. So I did, but now not on cow farm. Okay, so I do apologize there. I can't even read. Maestro's in. Welcome in, my dude. Lovely to see you, as is Marin. Lovely to see this. So Marin won't be around for long because Feyenoord plays an hour. Who do Feyenoord have this evening? I have no idea what the fixtures are. I was very disappointed to see that Ajax won at the weekend, because now it looks like the title's a little bit over. I mean, it's probably over a little bit before that. So, you know, there we go. So last stream he went for youth. Now anything living. Muster is on a roll. I mean, you know, in the words, I was speaking to Lestry off stream earlier on today, because he's over in Australia and it's Australian election season. So all I have to say in honor of it being Australian election season is let 1,000 blossoms bloom, which is a reference to one of their politicians there who it won't make sense. I'll send it in the Discord at some point afterwards. Remind me. I'll stop yabbering on like I'm making absolutely no sense. So RJ, you lived in a sheep farm until 13 years old. Now that makes a lot more sense. Small one, that is, about 30 to 40 sheep's max. I mean, so the voluntary work I did, and so it's only probably about 2 weeks worth was mainly around vaccinating and shearing sheep, and a little bit of work with cattle as well, but so limited that unfortunately it can't really count. It is a sunny day. One of the aspects, Maestro, of the clocks moving forwards is that this would normally be around 5 p.m. and this is where the sun just comes through my front door, which I don't have any blinds on. It just gets me right in the face. I probably need to think about moving the desk at some point. So Marin, I've got FC Groningen, so don't get me started about Ajax. Okay, I'm sorry. Welcome in, by the way, Walid. Lovely to see you, my dude. How are you? How's your week been? Seb is in as well, as is Eddie. Lovely to see you both back. I hope you're good. Shall we head on into the game then? I think that probably makes sense. Let's head on over and see where about things are. So for anyone who didn't make it along on Monday, you haven't missed much. On Monday, We spent our time familiarizing ourselves with players, getting a couple of ideas out there for what we're going to do tactically, and then signing barely anyone. We've signed one player so far, we've sold a couple, and that's pretty much all that's happened in our preseason so far. Maestro says get new curtains or something. Well, it's the door that's the issue. So it's the light through the front door, because this is meant to be the living room, but I have a bigger living room upstairs, so the office is down here. So RJ, the farm you work at now is a cow farm, about 100 of them, and dozens of fields, slightly bigger. That sounds bliss. I mean, other than the long hours and you know the hard work, I mean, that does sound amazing to me. While it is doing well, great to hear. Right, we have some hydrates. We also have a mystery minigame, so let's head on over to that before we carry on with the save. I should have probably done the drinking whilst the little transition thing was happening, but that would require me to know what on earth I'm doing. Right, so we will start off, as we start off every minigame season. I was going to put minigame session. Look, one of those will do, with a little bit of guess the player. Now, for those of you that don't know how guess the player works, a really simple concept. You're going to see 4 pictures from a player's profile in FM.
It's not the statistics! It's not the statistics! You tell me, how do you measure somebody that could balance a balloon in a wind tunnel on a needle?
Oh, Benji, thank you very much. You've been subscribed now for 2 months. What an absolute legend you are. Thank you kindly. And Thibaut, by the way, welcome on in. No worries. I hope you enjoy it's the Coppa Italia, isn't it? The derby tonight. So at the San Siro, AC Milan versus Internazionale. I believe AC are the home side, I think, for this. I can't be certain there. But I hope you have an awesome time. That should be great fun. So yeah, you're going to see with this game pictures of 4 players, like a snapshot of their profile from FM24, one after the other. You're going to see the positions they play, their attributes, their coach report, and their career history. Your job is to guess who the player is. The earlier you guess, the more points you get, and the higher up those scoreboards you end up. Now, these are players at the beginning of the game in the default database. So if you take someone like Joshua Zirkzee, he would be at Bologna in the game rather than Man United, just something to be mindful of. Now, for those that are guessing, I know many of you guys you know this already, but if you don't know, this picture is just a placeholder. If we had a picture here whilst I was explaining the rules that was actually of the player, that would make it far too easy. So I'm afraid to say it isn't Zirkzee, it isn't David Luiz. That is in fact Carlos Valderrama, who is not the player we're looking for. So the player we are looking for is a right-footed, wide centre-back. Could be a ball-playing defender, could be a central defender. I mean, he's also pretty decent as a libero or a no-nonsense centre-back. He is everything and nothing all at once. So Cockix Smells went for Theo Hernandez. That would have been lovely. Unfortunately, now we know the positions. It's not Theo Hernandez. It's so going to be Olivier Giroud, says Zerachul. Unfortunately, that's not there. Kirill's in. Welcome in, Kirill. Lovely to see you. Dodgy Rolex loved the David Luiz shout. So it's Coppa Italia. Milan is at home indeed. Beautiful. There's Atleti Barca tonight as well. I mean, you guys are all missing the most exciting game of tonight. Obviously, is Brighton and Hove Albion against Aston Villa, right? That's the big game. So Stones has been guessed. Jamie Lawrence, Manuel Akanji, Ousmane Diomande, Benjamin Pavard. Is Tapsoba and Edmund? Is it Edmund Tapsoba? They are all fine guesses. They're fine guesses, but unfortunately they're not right. Let's head on over to the attributes, see if that helps give some more clues perhaps. We've got someone who is slow, 8 acceleration, 10 pace. But they are phenomenal in a mental aspect, great tackling, great marking. They feel like a little bit of an old school defender for sure. Pardon me. So Thibaut says, your friend, we don't say AC to speak of Milan. AC Milan is Milan and Internazionale Milano is Inter. In Italy, it is like that and accepted by even Inter fans because Milan is English word. Fair enough. So more guesses coming in. We've got Minjay, we've got Chambers, we've got Acerbi, we've got Skriniar. We've got Smalling, Mike Smalling indeed. We've got Hummels, we've got Theor, we've got De Vrij, we've got Veltman. All some fabulous, fabulous guesses there. We don't have any of them correct though so far. But certainly we seem to be moving along, maybe thinking the right kind of profile of player, that's for sure. Let's head on over to the next one, see if that helps at all. So could it be Aya or Veltman or Araujo? Unfortunately, it can't be. It can't be, because we now know that this is a good La Liga player. They're an important player, but maybe past his best. So, guesses now coming in. We've got Marquinhos, we've got Savic, we've got Altfars, we've got Christensen. Again, some lovely, lovely guesses there. Christensen will kind of make sense because of the injury proneness, but probably isn't at a past his best stage in his career yet. So Zerachul is suggesting it could be Nacho. Thibaut thinks it might be the guy from Vallecano. Could it be Sergio Ramos or Antonio Rudiger? Juan Foyth? Again, some fantastic guesses there. I think that it's not any of those, but I think that certainly I'd probably say that Ramos might be the closest we've got in terms of, shall we say, age profile. We're definitely looking for an older player. So could it be Inigo Martinez? Inigo Martinez is an older player, but they're not looking for Inigo Martinez. Could it be Jimenez? Could it be Azpilicueta? Aridan Hernandez? Could it be Ruben Neves? Could it be Raul Albiol? There are some fabulous, fabulous guesses in there. Longlave comes in from Seb. Maestro has pointed to one above, but I don't know which one he's pointed to because, the time that things come through. We've got another guess for Sergio Ramos. We've got a guess for Suarez. Now, I can tell you we do have a correct guess, I'm pleased to say. And that correct guess belongs to whoever named a Villarreal player. And remember, we are talking about at the beginning of the game of FM24, so that, they might have moved on. Now, we had a guess for Juan Foyth. We had a guess for Raul Albiol. And it is, being a former Napoli player, absolutely Raul Albiol. Fabulous work, Dodgy Rolex. Brilliant stuff. Now we've got the applause coming in from Maestro, the applause coming in from Zerachul and from RJ. We've got it 3 more times from Maestro. Cocky Smash said he was out of his depth, and then I wouldn't have guessed Albiol. I thought he'd be dead by now. I'll be honest. I will be absolutely... The reason why Raul Albiol was chosen was as I was looking through squads at the beginning of the game, I was like, fuck me, Raul Albiol's still alive. That is literally the reason he was chosen, is essentially. I mean, it's a shame because I've now just read RJ saying just for the bit. Let's say it's for the bit. Let's say my ball knowledge definitely means that I knew that Albiol's still been playing at like age 37. Yeah, I mean, it is a great beard. It is a great beard, for all fairness. And Maestro was pointing to Albiol. You were right. You were right. You spotted that Dodgy Rolex was there. So Musterman Doppelganger. I mean, he's got his eyebrows are separate. Like there's an eyebrow to a right side eyebrow. There's a left sided eyebrow. They don't meet in the middle. So we can't quite be doppelgangers properly. Right. Oh, what's that? There we go. We'll sort that out. So since we left off, I've moved the clocks forwards in game all of one day. In that time, we sold Mike Maignan to Chelsea for €5.75 million. His value has immediately shot up. Now, there are a couple of reasons why we sold Maignan. He was a bit rubbish last season. He conceded more goals than expected, which isn't what you want from a top-level goalkeeper. He's got really, really shit agility, which unfortunately is kind of a no-go for me. So we are now without a starting goalkeeper at the moment. We also sold Ismail Bennacer. He's gone to Saudi Arabia, earning I need to do a little thing, which is I need to change this back to euros. Where is the euro? There it is. So we sold Ismail Bennacer. He's on €700,000 per week. 33 years old. He was pretty solid, but we have a lot of options in central midfield. And then we sold Jovan Živković for €25 million. He's gone to Dortmund. He's a young striker, 25 years old, well, youngish, but hasn't really made that big of an impact in his career at Milan. He started He started on the transfer list when we arrived here. Nothing stood out for us to change our opinion on that. Coming in, we've signed 30-year-old Joshua Zirkzee. Now, Joshua Zirkzee's career history kind of looks solid. Okay, I mean, we've got a lot of seasons with double figures, but we've got some bad seasons in there as well. That said, though, we've got seasons here where he was actually scoring above 20 goals when you take all competitions into consideration. And more importantly, he can play as an attacking midfielder. And he's got excellent passing, excellent vision, and excellent flair. So that gives us some flexibility, allows us to use him as a striker or maybe in the hole behind. And I think that he will fit into what we're looking to do. And what we're looking to do looks something a little like this. I say a little like this because we haven't played any preseason games yet. In terms of things like the roles, we don't actually know what's going to be happening. But I am thinking that we could have someone like Zirkzee as an Ngonch, and we could have Rafael Leao and George Elena as our strike force. We then have the width coming from our fullbacks. We have midfielders that just kind of shuttle left and right. So we'll see how it goes. We do need a right back and a centre back. Kai Key is going to be our starting centre back, and I'm not feeling that confident about him. Our starting right back at the moment looks like nobody. We've got a couple of young players who will fight it out during pre-season, but I would like us to have someone in if possible. Now, we took a look. We've only just taken over, so there aren't many players available in our list of scouted players. 186 in total. When you filter out those that aren't interested, when you filter by position, not got great options. Ferdi Kadioglu is currently at Inter, so we wouldn't mind signing him from a rival. That would be quite fun. But I don't feel he's necessarily worth the money that they're asking, which was going to be north of 30 million euros. Tommaso Profundi is a young defender who seems to be okay. Probably our top choice out of the players we've scouted so far. He does have great pace, which is marvellous. He has been doing pretty well in terms of some of his metrics here. Good possession one, good open play key passes, good open play cross attempts. So he's possibly an option. None of the rest really excite me. But since we started, indeed, RJ, Hugo Sique has come up on that list. 40 million euros for a player at 29 does make me a little bit questioning of it, but I do think we will go and send a scout out to get that full detail. So that once we've maybe got an idea, a little bit stronger idea of his attributes, maybe it'd be worth it, maybe not. We also want a centre-back. So Kokusmo says, right, Musterman Doppeldangers is the next only connect. Now that would be an idea. That would be fun. I mean, it would be like Scarecrows, the Elephant Man, and along those lines. So welcome in, by the way, Yosh Slack over on YouTube. Thank you very much. Love the skin. Very well done. I'm glad you're enjoying it, sir. Thank you. So Seb says, I really don't like that. Hates big matches on Profundi, though. I have found so little issue with players that hate big matches. I've had plenty that have performed more than well enough in big matches. And at 22, that can go away. So yeah, from a personal point of view, that doesn't worry me too much. DM Bassist, welcome in, my dude. How are you, sir? How's your day been? Sutat Bunark. Sorry, I do apologize. Sutat Bunark. How about 4-3-2-1 as a tactic? Tribute to Ancelotti. Sutat, this is part of the series. We are now 8 seasons in. We are sticking very much to our approach. The diamond, though, however, is our response to seeing the diamond become a little bit more prevalent within the world. Within the game world, that is. So we will be going for a 4-1-2-1-2. So, yeah. For players we saw, we want a right-footed centre-back to replace Kaiki. Since we last looked, only one player really, we'd like some experience. Only one player comes onto that list. That is Nikola Milenkovic, who's currently at Lens. He's asked to leave as well. So he's now 33 years old. We don't have full scouting on him at the moment. So it's only at reasonable. We've sent the scouts out to get that up to full. That could be an option for us to look at. And if we do get someone in, then Kaiki will be sold. So Kaiki here, we won't be able to see it because there's no stats as it's the new season, but he's been there for a few years. His performance last year was like under 70% tackle win rate, under 70% header win rate. It was not good. It was not good at all, unfortunately. So RJ says, to be honest, big matches are not all matches. If he's exceptional 95% of the time, I'm good. Exactly. And I say, I've found players seem to perform all right. You know, maybe sometimes they'll have a bad game in a big match. But if it's 5% of games are big matches, and of that 5%, they have a bad game 50% of the time, it's really, you know, I'm kind of fine with that completely. So work is done, one day closer to Santander. Indeed. Do you have tomorrow off, or are you working tomorrow and then last minute packing and like rushing out to the airport first thing Friday morning? So we've agreed to sell Abdul Fatawu if an offer of 70 million comes in. We're not going to force that situation though. So Seb says, that's interesting. What's your take on consistency rating then? Again, I honestly don't care that much about consistency either, because we do a lot of stuff focused around their performance statistics. If they're able to perform whilst being inconsistent, then that, you know, maybe I don't mind too much about them being inconsistent, because like, even if that inconsistency surfaces, it also means that they must have some absolutely phenomenal games in there. Like phenomenal games in there. So what is defined as a big match in FM? Yep, so finals, derbies, occasionally like key games towards the end of the season as well. So if you end up with like a title decider towards the end of the season, or something for staying up, you know, when you get those like inbox items that says, hey, we probably need to have a team meeting before a big match, those tend to be the things that are considered as big matches. Staffing, we've had some adverts out. We've got some people coming in, which is great. We had to wait. We've got a new head of youth development. So Manuel Marcantoni plays a 4-1-2-1-2. He likes adventurous football, balanced, and he's got some sensational mutton chops there going on. He likes player marking. I don't really have any great opinion on that. Looks for overlap, uses pressing. I think that kind of fits in with, well, when you play with only fullbacks in wide areas, looking for overlap kind of makes sense. So in terms of like the player profile we expect him to help identify and bring through, it's going to be a few years before it kind of pays dividends, but he seems like the right kind of person for me. Determined personality is decent. Short-tempered isn't the best, but I can live with that. No one's going to be perfect, right? All right, so Thibaut, you've got to go. By the looks of it, you actually have a team to build. Looking forward to that during. I don't know what Rediffudian would translate as, I'm afraid, Thibaut. But yeah, it should be fun. It should be fun. Have a fantastic evening. I hope it goes well tonight. Right, DM Bases, you're packing tonight. It's one night, so it'll take 5 minutes. Working tomorrow, we're going to finish a little bit earlier. Then comes the fun part. Going to try and force myself to sleep for 4.5 hours. Booked on the last train to Edinburgh. Aiming to be at the airport for about 1:30 a.m. Then it's just a case of waiting for your flight at 6:15. Oh yeah, that's not fun. Especially how good are the concession, how much stays open overnight at the airport? Because as long as you can get caffeine or I'd say as long as you can get any kind of beverage, really, like water's even good at that time, it helps a huge amount. I'm not planning for Eduardo Bove to be sold. It just says that his preferred destination would be Chelsea, not that he'd be upset if we tell him to bugger off, so that should be fine. That's all sorted by others. Another performance analyst in. A winger sent out on loan. None of that really matters a great deal. So, dodgy walks makes sense. Are relegation battles included in big matches? Yes. So, towards the end of the season, they will be indeed. someone that I think we... So where is the adverts? Was he? Yeah, he was that guy there. So we can offer to someone else. I quite like, if we can't find a 4-1-2-1-2, then a 4-3-3, preferably balanced mentality or up, and balanced or more often pressing would be ideal. Not so important for performance analysts, but I do kind of like them to have a reasonable amount there. Sangamani is one of ours already. Is he? Oh, right, he's one of the guys we've just hired. Sorry, yeah, okay. So Luca Creamy was there. Trasciano, balanced and less often. Cautious and less often. You know what? How about a little bit of variety? Let's offer... I do like a funky formation. Let's offer you a job. Because once we filled the first position, that closes the advert off. So we're not going to get any more applicants through. Aquan's in. Welcome in, my dude. How are you, sir? What have you missed? You'll be pleased to know. Not much. We signed Joshua Xerxes on Monday. We sold Mike Mignon. We sold Ishmael Benessa. And we haven't played a game yet. Our first preseason game is coming up, and we're likely to play that in full detail. Or maybe not full detail, but as close to full detail as we try and learn a little bit about our players. I'm pretty certain we have a contract offer in for Nicola Perry. He's a young winger that they say could be Serie A standard, so might as well extend him. I do need to remember responsibilities, reports. So we wanted to get reports from the head of youth development. We have a loan manager, so he can do that bit there. Player reports can come from our assistant manager. Same for coaching reports. Staffing can come from the director of football. Recruitment can come from the director of football. Scout feedback from the chief scout. That's all cool. We will still have those meetings every week for the time being. So doing basis figures, you'll have been awake for about 32 hours by the time I get to your hotel. Nothing opens until about 3:34 a.m, but there'll be vending machines. Done this a few times before, but it never gets easier. I can imagine. So Jay's in. Welcome in, my dude. Finally managed to catch a live stream. Lovely to have you in. Welcome to the nonsense. And Jack is in as well. Lovely to see you, my dude. And Night of Ear's in. I hope you're doing well. So you get out of work later, still need a shower and some lunch before following the stream. No worries at all. Get yourself showered, my dude. Get yourself showered. Right, RJ says, may I ask when they sold Salamakers, or do you want me to redeem? I'm more than happy to take a look at Alexis Salamakers. He's now 32 years old. They sold him how long ago? Back in the 2026-2027 season. He's played less games for Juventus than he did for Milan in roughly the same amount of time. Was a starter. So about 3 seasons ago, he stopped being a starter. And the reason why I'm happy to do that without you redeeming a thing is because I wonder how good our knowledge is on him. It's not at all. Bringing a player back, we need a right back. Maybe he could be the option. An attacking right back as well. Right. No, Theo Hernandez, you can run down your contract if needs be. He's in the last year of his contract. He's now 33 years old. So Blue Lions, welcome in, my dude. Never apologise for missing the start of the stream. What have you missed? Absolutely nothing, Blue Lions. We are slowly crawling towards our first friendly, which is our first game ever in charge of AC Milan. We've made very few changes to the team so far. We still need to learn a lot about the players. I see a Dylan. How you doing, my dude? Lovely to see you. We also have Izaka in as well. Are you confident in Villa tonight? No, I'm not confident in Villa whatsoever. Brighton Villa games. The only thing I'm probably confident in is whichever team scores first will probably lose. we've had a lot of games where it's been like 4-1, the first team scored, we've then goes on. I honestly couldn't call it either way. We're both quite transitional teams. And yeah, it should be a fun game. Should be a very, very fun game. But yeah, I'm not confident of our chances. The Salad Maker. I like the name, the Salad Maker. That'd be amazing. So Jack says today is Autism Awareness Day. It is indeed, which is absolutely fantastic. I don't know if you've seen that Lelujo has released a video. He's currently partnered up with Autistica, who are a charity with a challenge as well, which I think seems quite interesting. So yeah, indeed. Happy I was going to say Happy Autism Awareness Day to those who celebrate, but it's not really a thing you celebrate because it's about awareness. So we have scout options back. We've got 6 scout spots, I think, available, 14 out of 20, and we basically want coverage beyond Italy. So Cherubini, we're not going to offer a job to. Ruben Comendes could cover Spain. Galeo could cover Spain and France. Benito, Spain and Italy. Baresi, Spain only. Cajigal has South American knowledge. Okay, so Cajigal, let's see if we can get Cajigal in. I'm not going to haggle with these guys already at good clubs, because then they might stay at that club. Spain and France, I'm happy to offer you. So Piazza's just Italy. Simic will have, some nice Eastern European coverage. Scarcelli's going to be just Italy. Of course he is. Dembele, we've got Belgium. We've got some parts of West Africa. That's fine to me. Another Italian that only knows Italy. David Trezeguet has played in every single country in the world. And then more Italy only. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're allowed one more. So Benito, Spain and Italy. Comendes is Spain and England. We don't have much in the way of coverage of England, so let's do that as well. Along with Cajigal, that should give us some knowledge, hopefully. Dill, great. Had a lovely off-season stream yesterday. Appreciate you hanging for a bit. It was lovely to be in. It was just around the time I'd woken up after I went to bed at something like 6 p.m. last night, and got up nice and early at just after midnight. So it's beautifully timed, Dill. The Musterman way, 3 streams for 1 friendly, exactly. We're here for transfer windows anyway. Yeah, I mean, we should really bother with the actual season itself, to be fair. Evening all, Johnson's in. Lovely to see you, my dude. How's it going? Jay, who is the coach that influenced your tactics and style and FM? So there isn't a singular coach, Jay, that influences what I do in FM. I try and take inspiration from many different things, whether that's looking back and trying to replicate a particular style, like we did with the Pauk Zaragoza series, where we took a look at Thomas Schaaf, the Werder Bremen manager, who was there for like 30 years as a player as well as a manager, and his use of a diamond, and that was quite cool. We taken a look at Unai Emery and just kind of like everything, but generally speaking, when it comes to doing saves, we will try and pick out certain influences for that save, and that will change essentially every single time. Dodgy Rolex, Trezeguet is such a great scout. That's good to know. I mean, we don't have staff attributes on at all, so I have that's why I don't even really need to click into their profile, because I don't know. It makes no difference ultimately. So it's good to know that Trezeguet might be actually quite good. Johnson said, Autism Awareness Day is probably not something I'll celebrate. As much as I'd like to have lots of niche football, darts, flags, capitals knowledge, I'd much rather be able to hold a normal conversation for more than 3 seconds. Normal conversation is overrated, Johnson. I'll be honest. In fact, in environments where you don't have to hold a normal conversation would be greatly appreciated, I think. For me, at least. Thomas Schaaf mentioned, indeed, and Werder. Can you scout a scout? I mean, you should be able to, right? That would be cool. Could you? That's what your technical director should do. You should send your technical director to scout scouts so that you can know whether that scout can scout. Right. My perception of what our full strength lineup will be currently is Bajic as the goalkeeper. It's most likely to be that Baglieri at right back. It is Kaiki for the time being. Beraldo, Theo Hernandez, Dior at the base of our midfield. We'd have Gonzalez and Bove. Then I'm thinking our best lineup would end up with Xerxes, Leao, Elena Kana. So our backups, I think it's the young Michael Massey, our 19-year-old sweeper keeper. Backup right back would be Venturelli. Look at Brugnoni, Wojciech, Ruggeri, Siklic as the defensive midfielder, Kari, Heze, Benato as the guy behind the strikers, and then it would have been Carmona and Fataru. And then we can just add, I think Antic is on, loan listed, Barbieri's not available, Fuzeri, DeLucia. So we have currently no instructions whatsoever in possession. We're going to react over the course of these games. In transition, we've got the standard counter pressing, roll it out so that we can build up from deep. Out of possession, this is our Unai Emery-esque defensive setup. So it's a much higher defensive line, but just a mid-block. We trap outside, we invite crosses. So there is going to be probably, if we're using this, we're probably going to have these guys responsible for the fullbacks, so that Xerxes can just kind of, lounge around and do bugger all. But we will see that in due course. How do you get a scout? With a scout. Oh God, yeah. And then you need a scout. It'd be great. So John, so I don't think the people who made FM could hold that conversation either. Very true. So who's going to scout the technical director? Well, for that, you need a technical director scout, obviously. So if I scout the scout, wouldn't the results give me more insight on the scouter of the scout? Well, the results would give you insight into the scouter of the scout's opinion of the scout, and you would then be able to assess the quality of that assessment based on the eventual performance of said scout. So it's going to be like kind of a self-referential circle eventually. That triggers, right? That tracks even. Right, now I know that a lot of streamers skip friendlies. We're going completely the other way around. We are going to watch as much of the friendly as we possibly can. Oh wow, random ad. What was the random ad? What was the random ad, RJ? I'm surprised by that. I want to know what it is. Xerxes is good doing Xerxes stuff. Maybe he'll be good at it. We hope so, because there's a lot of things that he's not good at. Here's Bove. There we go. A goal against the team of snails. They literally have a snail in their badge. And a cane? And I can't remember what the third thing is. That was a reasonably effective counter-attack. I would have actually liked the ball back to Rafael Leao, because Leao was free whilst the man had tracked Bove. But, that's quibbling over minor things, that's for sure. So won't the board scout the technical director? Then the technical director scouts. Indeed, that. So where this started with is that Ifiolawa is that we were saying is how do we assess the scouts? We've got the technical director, but shouldn't the technical director be allowed to scout the scout? So how can you it's all good and well, but when you play a game that has the attributes already there, maybe you should have to send the technical director out to do the actual groundwork. And then we started talking nonsense. George, welcome on in, my dude. How's your week going so far? You don't know, it's just a 12-second act. Fair enough. The scout circle of nepotism. I mean, that's the real way to get a job though, right? Isn't it? It's all about nepotism. As Xerxes takes aim from the edge of the area. That's a really nice little pass from Rafael Leao there, to be honest. Drifted into the channel, took the ball, passed it immediately, nice and crisp to Xerxes. Xerxes doesn't have a... Oh, I can't believe he doesn't have an afro. Right, Nico, into Rafael Leao. So, there's a couple of opportunities where Leao has had the opportunity to run with the ball and hasn't. So I think that's my first change. Is to add dribble more on there. Let's see if that makes any changes there. So Draw asks, what was the first version of the game you played? So for me, it was Championship Manager Italia. I didn't own the game. So I had a friend that lived down the road from me, Alan. Pop round his house. We play Championship Manager Italia. Eventually then got, what was the name of the program that you used to copy floppy disks? But yeah, managed to then pirated a copy so that I could play at home. So yeah, I've been playing for like 32 years or so. When was your first game? Which was your first version, Draw? So Seb got an O2 advert, very strange one, which insinuated that they give life. Interesting. That's not what you. I mean, I suppose O2 gives you life, but not that O2. Welcome in, Muster. Welcome in, Brazilian Fury. How you doing, my dude? I was reading your message as you said that. Thank you so much for the bits. How's it been? How's it been, my man? Now, if you guys aren't following Brazilian Fury, that means you've been ignoring me every single time I've been telling you, and that makes me sad. The best way to not make me feel sad is to go and give that a little click. There should be, if you're over on Twitch, there should be a lovely little heart symbol coming up next to the name Brazilian Fury in the top right. Go show that man some love. So RJ was champs 95-96 if it's considered an FM game. It is definitely considered an FM game. It's all one and the other. And Rafael Leao is down with probably not an injury. So same developer, I consider it part of the timeline. Absolutely. Who says it's not FM? They are absolutely wrong. So George, your week is better now. Your corrupt college isn't protecting their golden boy for 2 weeks. You got 2 weeks off. Fair enough. Now that sounds good. Do you have anything planned for those 2 weeks off? Theo sends it in. Rafael Leao, nice and easily done. So Kill's asking about Nero. What about no? So I mean, Nero, one of the best names for a piece of software ever. I love the name Nero. For those that don't know, Nero was software for burning CD-ROMs. So you could watch Nero burning ROM. Lovely play on words. I love it. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. No, it's the old one that you'd use like a command line. And I'm thinking like back. We're talking like 186s. We're talking mid 90s, long before CDs. So Brazilian Fuse, one of the newbies in Await FM21. But I did go back and play a bunch of the older entries for research purposes. When you went back and played them, did you find any that kind of stood out to you as feeling like more fun or something a little bit more different that you'd like to do?
It's not the statistics. It's not the statistics. You tell me, how do you measure somebody that could balance a balloon in a wind tunnel on a needle?
GNG, you absolute gentleman. It's 5 months. 5 months, you crazy son of a bitch. Thank you very much, my dude. How's your week going? This clone, no, that doesn't sound familiar for me either. I'm completely. I know that once someone says it, I will know what it is, and I'll probably get nowhere near it before that moment at all. So John said was a bit tardy. You joined FM20. That's a perfectly good time to join as well. So O2 can't do decent network coverage. No, he said O2 can do, and then with the brackets. I've never used O2, I don't think, so I couldn't dare comment. But I always imagine they're a bit rubbish. That must have been what it was. It went completely over my head. Right, okay, so fair enough. So for draw, you were Championship Manager 97-98 in the Scottish League, where players wouldn't renew their contracts. So at the end of the season, 3 to 4, you could bring on all the biggest stars in the world to Celtic. That's quite fun. I mean, yeah, let's be honest. A lot of my memories of early Champs managers involved a lot of cheating. I mean, a lot of, there was, I think it might have been 97-98 as well, where you could do the whole, you bid a stupid high amount so that they accept the bid. After they've accepted the bid, you go in and you move the amount down to 0, and now you can get that player for free. That was always quite fun. A lot of taking over team as manager of teams I don't like, buying all my crap players for mega millions, so that I then had a mega transfer budget. You know, all those playing the game dishonestly was very, very fun. So Robert over on YouTube started with Championship Manager 93-94. So guess you're about the same age, quite plausibly indeed. So I'll be 40 in less than a month's time. So yeah, again with a lot of these early football managers as well, I didn't really know what I was doing. I definitely had no idea what was going on. So for Alfie, he was FM14. That's cool. What's your favourite FM of the lot, do you think, Alfie? So George's plan is to sit down and get better FM. That's a fine 2 weeks to the sound of me. So John said it's 30th of March in my Hanover save. That means it's going to be next gen time after the next match. The best time. The best time. Right, Liao's got to send that into Xerxes. Xerxes with the kind of finishing you associate with Xerxes, bless him. Good old time CDs. Bring CDs back. That's what I say. Bring them. Not that they've really gone away, but you know, we need a Musterman CD emote. That could be interesting. I mean, we'd need to. It's a pizza chart. CDs. It's just circles, right? Xerxes with a nice free kick, I suppose. Kind of straight at the goalkeeper. We can't take too much stock from what's happening in the game, but we can see certain things. Like I've not been happy with the fullbacks. They've not really gotten far enough ahead or aggressively up the field. But I'm liking what I've essentially seen from Rafael Leao. He has started to run a little bit more with the ball, which is cool. I'm liking the space that it's creating for Xerxes. I'm not sure we've got the right role for Elena Kana from these early moments. I've been happy with both Nico and Bove. They are doing exactly what I want in terms of just kind of being behind the play, helping to recycle and keep things going. So yeah, I think the areas to look at are left striker and the fullbacks at half time. So Nero, Image Burn, I think Damon Tools were 3 I remember. Yes, I remember Damon Tools as well. I can't wait to meet people who join at FM25. Indeed. So Brazilian Few says Championship Manager 0102 feels like a cop-out answer in a way, but I feel they nailed their style in that specific entry pre the 2D engine. I think that's fair. I think that the 3D engine, that's a nice strike. That's a very nice strike. The 3D engine was the 2D engine was a very, very big change. And it's quite difficult to capture the pace of games. So Champs 0102, being able to get through a season in like a handful of hours was crazy. Zerachel says Champs 93-94 Norway. Man, I feel old now. I mean, don't feel old. That's the best era to get on board.
It's not the statistics. You tell me, how do you measure somebody that could balance a balloon in a wind tunnel on a needle?
Oh, Punkasson, thank you very much for the follow and the subscribe. Welcome on in. If you're comfortable chatting, I'd love to know who you support, who you're playing with in FM. With absolutely no obligation, feel free to lurk if that's what you'd rather do. So DM Basis says 0102 is the best and it's not even close. Back out and change offer, that was in a few versions. I think it quite possibly was. Now I'm always going to go to bat for Champs 0304. And it's just because I think that was when I was around 18. You know, I'd left school. I was working my first full-time jobs. My evenings were kind of free. I had a lot of free time, so I got to play it a lot. I suppose ultimately was what makes it such a fond memory. So RJ says, in champs, non-EU players were not signed again after contract expired. You could get Ronaldo pretty much anywhere after a while. Incredible stuff, right? Incredible stuff. That's kind of like the fun element that I think FM has lost a little bit over the years. Is because as you improve the game, you do close off some of those little idiosyncrasies. And let's face it, people quite like the idea of the team they support having the best players in the world. So Eddie, FM 2006 was your first. Picked up while working abroad in France. Fabulous. Now, FM 06, I think... Now, okay, this is probably not the audience for this comment, to be honest. There was a relatively niche late night comedy show over here in the UK on Channel 4 called Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. It starred Richard Ayoade, who later go on into be in the IT Crowd, Matt Berry, who was in the IT Crowd, and Toast of London, and What We Do in the Shadows. And it was basically a mock hospital horror 70s show. Lots of continuity errors, lots of silliness. Now, Matt Berry played a character called Dr. Lucian Sanchez. This does come back to FM. Now, back for FM 2006, Sports Interactive ran this whole like facing the game thing, like they kind of do now with naming a game, where fans could submit photos and get themselves added to the game. Someone out there decided to submit a photo of Matt Berry as Dr. Lucian Sanchez, and he is a physio in FM 2006, and it's one of my favourite bits of dumbness that I think has ever existed in a FM series. I don't know if it was done by producers of the show. I don't know if it was done by just a random fan of both Football Manager and Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, who just thought it'd be a weird and funny thing to do. Absolutely zero idea behind what happened with it. So DM Basis, if we're talking first game, Championship Manager 2, 96-97, MS-DOS based, absolutely. I mean, so I say absolutely. All my memories of those games would have been Amiga for me. I weren't fancy enough for a PC. So Robert, oops, not meaning to add extra years. You're 48. I mean, once we get past 35, it all just merges into a blob, right? Right, Marin's off to go watch the Feyenoord game. Good luck with the game, my dude. Johnson asks, is anyone else still collecting CDs? I'm not actively adding to a collection of CDs, but I still have all my CDs. There is something about having physical possession of something that makes me feel a little bit more secure. The one thing that I do struggle with a little bit with digital media. Sikokusmo says, every time you hear Hanover, I get an unnatural amount of rage for their management for the shit they pulled last season in the playoffs. What did they pull in the playoffs? What did they pull? Interesting. So Alfie, favourite FM might be 24, just since I've put the most time into it, with 25 being delayed. Or FM22, had a great Onger save on 22. I think that's the key to it, isn't it, Alfie? A lot of what constitutes your favourite version of a Football Manager is going to be based around the saves that you had in them rather than necessarily the games themselves, I feel. So if you've got that memory of that Onger save, I'm sure that in years to come that'll be the thing that you'll keep on coming back to. So I mean, 8-0 looks good and all, that's absolutely fine, but let's make these changes. So we're going to push both of these guys onto a wing back on attack. We're going to keep Elena Kana as an advanced forward, but that's because we're going to make all our substitutions at half time here. And it's going to be Fataru who's going to play up front, and he's more of a winger. Well, I say he's more of a winger. He is a winger. So Kari, Heza, Benato, Carmona, and Fataru. And let's see how those guys get on in the second half. So Eddie, used to make the mistake of managing your favourite team, Standard Liège, couldn't stand watching them lose, so never touch them again in FM. That is probably a very, very wise idea. A very wise idea. So Draw asks, do you remember that in the old versions of the game there was even Maradona at the age of 33, 34? Yeah, I'm pretty certain I remember him being in... He was definitely in Champs Italia. Was he? Did Champs Italia have real names? Because the problem is like, so even back then there was like modding communities, but you'd have to get them off your mate with the dodgy cracked discs and stuff like that. So I know that there were some that didn't have names and some that did. I'm trying to remember now. I am trying to remember now. So Kill mentions Total Commander. I don't know. I don't remember what it was doing exactly. Fair enough. Jack asks, have I tried any of the exotic match engines? I have indeed, Jack. I will say the same that I've said before on these streams. I've got a lot of admiration for those doing the work. I think it's great to see people looking a little bit beneath the surface and trying out new things. Having tried out every single one they've done, and some of the mods that came out originally, all of the FM Tweak ones, I'm most happy with the football that I see in the default match engine. That's not a slight on the work they've done, but I find this, for all its faults, probably the most balanced for me. So Duracell's in, welcome in. Hi there, been lurking for a while. Logged in to say I missed the times when you bought CDs and it came with a case and a small art book. Now you get a cardboard sheet and a code. Indeed. I mean, the biggest loss I think for me in gaming especially, as Ruggieri goes down injured. Is he all right? He's all right. Is the days of like those big manuals you get your big box with your floppy disks in them, and you get like a nice proper manual that will tell you the stuff you need, usually would have some interesting artwork in there, would often also have like the piracy, anti-theft information as well. Used to be quite fun. So George asks, can I ask how many people have gone on to FM and won the double in their first season? New to the game, because I did that on FM24, which is the game I started on. Fantastic stuff. I mean, I think there's like the first time you've ever played it, that's incredible. I definitely didn't do that on the first time I played Championship Manager. The first time I played Championship Manager, I was around 8, so I probably played a few games, lost a few games, got upset and annoyed and stopped playing. So yeah, incredible. Winky's in. Welcome in, Winky. How you doing, my dude? How the week's going? So DM Bassist, I do apologise. This thing bounces around a load. My 0304 will be your second favourite version. A fine choice. FM08 was the version I played the most, probably for about 3 years, as my PC couldn't run the newer versions. That's fair as well. That makes a lot of sense. Nightcrawler, that's a long and soapy shower night. Well, I wonder that we've lost Night and Knee already. My word. DM Basis is a fan of Dark Place. I knew you were a man of taste. The Scotch Mist episode is the best episode of anything ever, and I will die on that hill. I mean, I love Dark Place so much. Like it feels so weird to me as well that like Matthew Holness essentially has done absolutely nothing since then. Or not had a breakthrough since then. I mean, I know that he was part of Bruiser beforehand, and I know that the Garth Marenghi stuff is coming back a little bit now, but it seems like such a great series, and I'm surprised that he's never been involved in more. Drew's here as well. Welcome in, Drew. Thank you, by the way, for the follow. Junior Omega as well. Lovely to have you in. I'm good, dude. I'm good. How are you? Johnson says, wasn't even that bad. Only Brooklyn Ezra really played. So this is about the Hanover series playoffs. Wasn't that bad. Somebody played well, and that's about it from the looks of things. Saquon, he was either FM 2015 or 2016. After seeing your high school coach show up what he wanted us to do by showing him his FM team play. That is genius. That is genius. So, RJ, you remember in one of your saves you had Ronaldo, Stoichkov, Rivaldo, and Javier Zanetti? That was quite nice. I know it's a friendly against Campionese, but that wasn't too bad. And Javier Zanetti and Anderlecht. Wasn't that fun? Wasn't that fun? Right, so Fataru, across to Brignoni. Here's Venturelli, gets it out of his feet. It looked better from my peripheries of visions. So, Punga-san, sorry, I do apologise that I am a little bit behind on chat, so I'm there now. Love the skin on FM24, love the videos and streams. Unfortunately, I'm not playing at the moment because I'm burned out of it, honestly. No, I mean, firstly, there's no unfortunate about that. It's really, really helpful to go, actually, I don't want to play this game at the moment. I think that's a good thing. It means that you've got a chance to explore other games or do other things. I mean, like, doing other things is probably quite healthy. He says, having an existential crisis in the middle of reading the comment. So, yeah, DM Basis explains what Dark Place is. So Quan says, it was effective. Finished second in your school league and won the cup. It is genius. That is incredible. Right. Oh, sorry. Right, so Seb, you've managed to snag a house box set on DVD. That counts, surely. I mean, that any form of physical media, I'm a big fan of. That it's got to be the way forwards, right? Just it's so nice to actually have the thing, having the thing. I feel like such an old man saying that now. Yeah, but there we go. So Isaac, Towers starts. Interesting. Ramsey starts. That's fair. I think Ramsey played really well. Watkins starts the game on the bench. That I think also I'm not necessarily against. I've spoken many times about the fact that I don't like Watkins' movement up front. So that's right. Let me just see. Is that going to come up on? Oh, we don't have the advice thing there. Damn, I think I've just discovered. I've been doing some little fiddling with changing the player bar at the bottom, and I've just realised that also impacts the little pop-up that comes up and tells you about substitutes, and it looked really weird on the substitutes bit. So that looks like something I need to look at in more detail. So RJ drops CDs. You get vinyls from time to time. You can't beat a vinyl. You can't beat a vinyl. That uncompressed sound, that slightly annoying crackle. Classic. So, Quan, you couldn't play FM16 much though, as you managed Barcelona, who had MSN at the time, and the mid-season slumps would piss me off, and I didn't know how to adjust. This is what I mean about the element of like fun being gone. Is that sometimes because of that chase for realism, as things get more complicated, you know, as a fan, playing as the team you support and just having to deal with them being rubbish can sometimes feel a bit crap. Can definitely feel a bit crap. Yeah, DM Base, Maradona would have been in quite a few of the early games as he didn't retire until, what, 97? Sounds about right. So, Quan, you only got back into it years after it came out to console. That makes sense. CM Italia came about due to the Football Italia program on Channel 4. That makes sense, and I'm pretty certain that Football Italia is almost single-handedly the reason why a lot of us in England of a certain age have such a fondness for Italian football as well. I think it'd probably be a fair assessment, right? So you get 9 is a bit uncalled for in it. look, we've got to learn. We've got to learn, and the best way to learn to start off with is we can see our attacking structures against rubbish teams. That said, I've been reading chat most of this game, so I saw some things in the first half. I think we've seen some improvements in the second, but yeah, I've not really been paying as much attention as I should have done for how easy this game has been. So Eddie's a fan of 2006 with the Hours of Death and the move into channels exploit. Oh, so I'm guessing, Eddie, like, so 2006 means you won't have been around for the era of Wibwob. Now, Wibwob, for those that don't know, back in the early Championship managers, you were able to set your positions in possession and out of possession. So Wib is with ball, Wob is without ball, commonly referred to as Wibwob. So not just would you have the arrows and the sliders, but you'd also be able to physically place your players all over the pitch, which was absolutely amazing for exploiting the match engine and being a very, very unbalanced mess. Yigit's first favourite FM will always be FM10. What is it that you like about 10 in particular? So draw in 03-04, you took all the teams that were in the Champions League that season, played 4 seasons in each of them. Took me about 3 years in real life. That sounds like a great setup. So Zerachul, FM24 with retro databases is your current favourite version. That's fair. That is fair. So Dan Basis, you've tried to catch anything that Matt Berry or Rich Fulcher have done. I love Dark Place and Man to Man with Dean Lerner particularly. I keep meaning to pick up the Merengue books, and I think he was doing a Garth Merengue tour at one point. He was indeed doing it. I think that was last year, wasn't it? So I believe that, like, I know a couple of mates have bumped into Matt Holness in our local, their local post office. I no longer live in that town/city. So I know he's kind of local as well, which kind of makes me go, I kind of just want to hopefully just like hang out and accidentally bump into him. But yeah, Dark Place, Man to Man with Dean Lerner. I'm guessing that if you catch anything with Matt Berry or Rich Fulcher, that means you've watched Snuffbox as well, which is a perfectly normal sentence to say out loud. Because Snuffbox is amazing. Snuffbox is truly amazing. Yigit, you had Ibrahimovic, Robin, Di Maria, Alexo Sanchez, and Neuer at the same time at Galatasaray. Incredible stuff. So yeah, I'm happy with that. I think we've got the changes that we want to make. Okay, Ruggieri did have a proper injury, just 2 days. So I like that they seem to be a bit more advanced in the second half. We'll go back and check a couple of things there though. So advanced forward, I want Leao to dribble more. I'm thinking with Elena Kaner, we try him out as a complete forward because he has got more of that physical profile as well. Next game, I said I was happy with how Bove and Nico were supporting underneath the play, but we'll try and focus on them a little bit more, see maybe whether we need to do things that might help increase their risks, and maybe a little bit of gets further forwards, maybe take more risks, maybe dribble more. Just want to see if there's a couple of things that we can do in that regards. But yeah, generally speaking, reasonably pleased with that. Right, we've got a break coming up. We also have a mystery mini game redeemed by Zerachul. So what we'll do is we'll pop onto that break. I will then be back in about 3 to 4 minutes, at which point we'll go and play some bingo. So hopefully that should be a cool plan, and I will see you guys in a few moments. And we're back, and everything's connected. So, marvellous. Just before, well, not just before, whilst we were in the middle of the last game, Zeratul redeemed a mystery minigame. So we're going to play a round of football bingo. Now, there is a link in your respective chats, so both on Twitch and on YouTube. If you click on that, that will take you over to playfootball.games. And the way this works is kind of straightforward. Everyone gets a unique bingo card with 16 squares. Those squares will contain things like clubs or nations or competitions or awards. We then all get the same list of 60 players revealed one by one, all in the same order. We get 10 seconds to assign that player to one of the squares. That player might match multiple squares. They might match none. You've got to work that out yourself, and once you find a square that they match, you click on it and you lock it in. You cannot undo a selection. So if you accidentally put a player in the wrong square, you got it wrong. There's no undoing it. You can't put someone else in that square later on. It is locked out. Your goal is to try, as best as you can, to get bingo. That is to match all 16. You can skip players that you think match no one, or you can just let the time run out, which is what I will be doing a lot of. So what we will do is we will start this game in about 2 minutes or so, give people time to join in. And as we get the same list of players in the same order, I will play very, very slowly to begin with. So, you know, I don't get ahead, so you get a little bit of extra cheaty knowledge ahead, you know. Now, this all does go toward points. We track our mini games here, and we have a leaderboard that you can see kind of underneath me. We run a leaderboard for all time. We run a leaderboard for each week. And the way we do it with this is that the person that comes in first will get 5 points. The person that comes in second gets 4, third gets 3, fourth gets second, fifth gets 1. Wherever I finish, we just kind of ignore me. So if I finished second, then the person who finished third will be like they got second and they get 4 points. So I play because I like playing, but I don't go towards the scores. So yeah, so what I'll do is say we've got about a minute or so before we'll pop in again. So I'll just pop the link there in case anyone missed it when it was in chat a little bit earlier. And then yeah, in about a minute we'll head into it. So DPR, by the way, hi man, I just wanted to let you know that you love my videos. Started a save with Alaves, fabulous, based on data, winning a La Liga title, as well as a cup in the Champions League in just 4 years. That's amazing, incredible achievement. Probably the best save and the one you've had most fun with. That is brilliant. That is brilliant. I guess love, yes, indeed. Johnson, by the way, thank you for the explanation on the playoff system. That does sound like bullshit. That sounds pretty damn awful, to be honest. I can understand. I can absolutely understand now. And I did also see, so I will try and catch up a little bit with chat as I possibly can. But Eddie, why does a tiny man living a window at the upper right corner of my screen need a break? It's actually all just about making sure that it moves enough, because if you keep that in the window, it might burn the screen. And I'm just looking to protect your screens. That's it. That's all it is. Right, let's head on into the game. So we've got a little countdown. It'll start, and let's see how you get on. We have had 2 players get the full bingo up to date so far. So we've played it quite a lot. Don't expect to get bingo. Perfectly reasonable not to. And we're going to start here with Scott Sinclair. Now, well, as I said, I let the first few run through a little bit. So even though I can clearly think of something that Joseba Siberia would match, I'm just going to let them run so that we can run down the time there. So Lautaro Martinez. Now, Lautaro Martinez, a very, very good player. I think he does match one of those, possibly. Actually, I'm not so certain he does match one of those. I will start playing after Lo Celso. Here we go. Salvatore Sirigu. Sirigu has played somewhere. He's played at Paris Saint-Germain, so he could have been managed by Tuchel, but I'm not confident on that. Miggy Almiron has recently moved back to Atlanta, so he has played in the MLS. Rodrigo Bentancur Quite famously, he spends his summers in Uruguay being racist. Sofian Amrabat. Oh, where's he played? He's played a few places. I'll let that one run. Anthony Reveille. I feel like he should probably be a Lyon player, but I'm not 100% confident on that one. Has Maxwell won the Ballon d'Or? I think he might have done. No, I don't. Huggy Louise, the greatest player of all time. Or he was. He was until he abandoned us. That one can run out as well. Luka Modric. Luka Modric has won the Champions League. I'm going to lock that one in there because I very rarely... I'm rubbish with the competitions. 1996 Adama Traore. I will let that run because I don't know the years that various Adama Traores were born. So Pedri, we will go with Spanish there. Ansu Fati. I don't think they're going to have met any of these other ones, so we'll let that run out. Fran Garcia, I'm going to skip on Garcia. Goran Pandev. There's a throwback. I feel like he played for a lot of teams, so there's always the chance that he could have ended up playing for Villarreal, but I wouldn't feel particularly confident on that. Julio Cesar, is that the goalkeeper one? I mean, even if it is, I don't know enough to be confident there. Marko Arnautovic. Marko Arnautovic has played for a billion clubs as well, but I'm not confident. Hristo Stoichkov. I'm guessing at least some of you must have Bulgaria on your card, because that's quite a few Bulgarian players now. The great Vangelis Pavlidis. Gonna let that one run as well. So Kepa Arrizabalaga. Kepa has been at Chelsea. Let's play that one. Marc Cucurella has also been at Chelsea. That would have been a nice one to probably hold on to. We'll pass that one through. Nicolas Otamendi. Again, there's a lot of these players, like a lot of players that I know have played for a lot of clubs, but now in the moment, I just don't feel particularly confident. So Bernard Lama, I associate Bernard Lama with Paris Saint-Germain. Could they have won the UEFA Cup at any point in that point? I don't think they did. Marco Asensio, another player I associate with Paris Saint-Germain. Would he have played with Cristiano Ronaldo at Real Madrid? I'm going to play it. We'll see how it goes. Cole Palmer, we'll skip on that one. Marcos Rojo, Mexican. We're going with it. Frank Anguissa, we're going to pass there. I feel like he might have been at Galatasaray. Fernando Muslera, another Uruguayan. We'll pass that. Alvaro Recoba. Simon Mignolet. Keep on skipping past the Belgian one there. Dries Mertens. Was Dries Mertens at Everton? I feel like he was. Hector Herrera. We'll pass on. Oh, maybe. Giovanni Dos Santos. I'm going with Villarreal. Brian Laudrup. Did Brian Laudrup win the UEFA Cup? Let's go with UEFA. Let's do it. Let's just play it now. Joachim Andersen could have been at Lyon at some point. Thibaut Courtois. Chelsea with Tuchel. Albertini, we're going to skip past. David Ginola. We're going to skip past. Joshua King, we're going to skip past. Anthony Martial. No, there's so many players that I don't feel confident about any players being a Lyon player. Unless it's Juninho Pernambucano, I'm not going to feel confident. Eunice Cabal. Johan Bakayoko. Xavi Simons. Juan Mata. Mario Balotelli, why always him? Kolo Toure. Allison. Reece James. Samuel Umtiti. Gerard Piqué. Dino Zoff. Teddy Sheringham. Andy Cole. Right, I need to play... Right, so we're saying that Roberto Baggio played for Galatasaray famously, right? That's fabulous. We've got a bingo. We've got a bingo. John, sir. Sensational work, sir. Sensation. In 2 minutes and 57 seconds as well. There's some incredible stuff. Oh, my word. So, in first place is John, sir. He's definitely got himself 5 points. There is one player left to finish, so there might be someone else joining him on 5 points. But if they don't come in there anywhere else, then it's draw in second. And then we've got joint third from Hung Min, FMGNG, and El Norby. Incredible work. Incredible work. So Rojo is Argentinian. There we go. There we go. So far, no bingos for me. Hung Min, you were not far off, though. Not far off. That is pretty damn impressive. That was, 14 correct? DM basis, right. It's going to go back in a bit. Oh, once the embarrassment has faded. That's understandable. That's understandable. Raw Hendo Simmons was Leon. There we go. Thank you very much. Seb claims the fastest. He did finish it in 2 minutes and 14, which is sensational as well. Arguably, maybe Seb, if you took the extra 43 seconds, you could have been top with John, sir. Thanks grid was pretty easy, to be fair, but that's the autism bull knowledge that I was talking about earlier. Beautiful. So draw was on the way to bingo, but you accidentally pressed 1. That's always a shame. That is always a shame. Cool. Right, okay, that's brilliant. Let's head back in where we can play some friendly games at high levels of detail. Right, we've got coaches, hopefully. Goalkeeping coach. I would like another one. We could bring in another German. Our current goalkeeping coach is a German that we brought with us from Darmstadt. Reichner plays our same formation, so he could be an option. Bravio could be an option as well. We're not looking to play it, but that is just a 4-4-2 diamond with the midfield drop deep so the wing backs can push up. So that's kind of like the potential alternative formation we'll use. So I don't mind that too much. Bianchi, Del Corno, Peroni. Oh, Albert's another diamond guy. Coupe. So I think Brechner here. Professional. Been at Man City for 4 years. I think that seems like a good shout. Brechner. Let's try and get him down 4.8. Yeah, we got him at 4.8. Beautiful. Oh, I didn't mean to click that. Let's see what we got going on here. So individual training, we will look at that once pre-season's done, once we've got more of an idea of the players. Same goes with traits. That's fine. Players to loan list. Michel Barbieri. Yeah, I'm happy for that. If they want to do that on those, that's fine as well. What is Beraldo currently? He's currently a regular starter. No need to push him up. We're not going to change Bajic either, because we will probably look to change that situation. He's up in the senior squad, isn't he, with us right now? That's fine. Too old for the under-20s. He's 20, right? Surely that's fine. Yeah, nothing to do there. Nothing to do there. Send a keeper on a language course. Yep, fine. Good to know. Set piece coaches. We're not going to worry about set piece coaches right this moment, but that might be something we look at a little bit down the line. So Sinister, welcome in, my dude. What's this? So I'm guessing you're asking that about bingo. It's bingo. So it's one of the we play mini games every now and then during the course of the stream, and that's one of the mini games. When we next play it, so before every different mini game we play, and there are quite a few different ones, I will explain the rules as we just before we play them. But it probably makes sense to head on over and explain it in context when we're about to do it, or you can pop over to that link that's in the chat there, which is just above your comment, Sinister, and you can play it like single player version. There's a single player version, so you can kind of get familiar with the concept. Nothing to worry about there. Let's see what the situation is with Caprile. Caprile's value doesn't seem to be changing. We're going to probably take the drop on it. Let's see what he'd want. 140 to 180k is okay. Start the majority of the club's matches. Well, we are looking as a starting goalkeeper, so that makes sense. I'm quite happy with that. Would want a 5-year contract as well. At 29 for a goalkeeper, I'm not averse to that too much. I don't like his asking price though. So let's do that. Let's pop a bid in a little bit below his value. See if maybe, hopefully, we can unsettle him a little bit. Let's see how these guys are getting on with these. Don't know how far away off they are, but it looks like we should be close to full. Okay, that's how close we are to full knowledge on them. Milenkovic, A- would be a terrific signing. Not injury prone. From an attribute standpoint, he's not slow. Yeah, that's our new centre-back sorted. That is 100% our new centre-back. 8 million euros, 56 to 76k. Marvellous. That feels like a Milan type of signing, right? That definitely feels like an aging centre-back. Oh. So Zerachel said pressure got to you with no Crodmo. You need Crodmo here to get you to your best. So Eddie's a big fan of the 5-2-1-2. Your favourite? It's a fine formation for sure. Absolutely agree with you there. That's fine. We can head on over. Milenkovic here. You don't get to choose the role, and because we don't play over back three, that might see that his demands go up a little bit. Yep, that's what we expected. 90k is a little bit on the crazy side. We can only offer a 1-year contract. So 1-year extension after 15 games. I'm fine with that. Appearance fee is pretty decent. That's a 5th. Let's try down at 80. I mean, anything under 100k is brilliant. So yeah, that's fine. Cool. There we go. I'm more than content with that. Once we get him through the door, then we will transfer list Kaiki. Anything could happen between now and then that messes it up. So we'll do that. So John, would it be crazy to watch the DFB Pokal semi-final instead of the Merseyside derby? Not at all. Not at all. I think that would make perfect sense. Jabbit says, what signings did we make in the end? I forgot. So Jabbit, so far we've only signed Joshua Zirkzee. So Joshua Zirkzee is the only man that's come in so far. We've sold Mike Mignon, the starting goalkeeper. We've sold Ismail Benassa, who's probably, in my opinion, maybe the 4th choice central midfielder. And we sold Zivkovic, who was a 25-year-old striker that's not really made much impact. So fitness coaches, again, let's see, based on formation. Right, so it's going to be a 4-3-3 we look at. Are there Italians with 4-3-3s and attacking football? Balanced is fine. Paolo Galdino, previously been at Man United and then a spell at Spezia. As goalkeeping coach, fitness coach number 3, I'd be fine with that. Get you down on 2k, but an extra year on there. and then regular coaches. So we have Sami Hyypiä, I think, as maybe our only regular coach currently. Now, Sami Hyypiä is a defensive-minded coach, I know that much. So let's start with, right, Massimo Innocenti, 4-3-3, Gianpiero Pavoni, 4-3-3, but cautious. Massimo Innocenti is a classic, right? Like being at the club before, a lot of experience in big teams, Napoli. Actually, his experience isn't that impressive. But an Italian coach. Let's carry on the advert. So we do need coaches, but we're going to look to have an extra goalkeeping coach, an extra fitness coach. That will bring us up to 6. So we do potentially have 6 coaching jobs available. And if we're hiring mainly from the pool that comes through here, actually it might help to have a few more options there. Kevin De Bruyne obviously seems like quite a fun possibility as a former player of top quality, but that alone isn't necessarily enough. They've rejected the offer for Caprile, which is what we expected. Wants to leave, but he's not submitting a transfer request yet. Leave that a couple of days, maybe come back in at around 40 million. Maybe. Knight and E's back. Welcome back, my dude. Fingers crossed on that signing. We can only hope. Right, scouts are starting to arrive. Mendes, Gallego. Trezeguet rejects us, unfortunately. Chapanal's come in as a sports scientist, whoever he is. That's a shame about Trezeguet because he's got a lot of coverage. So RJ's going to watch the Milan derby this evening. A fine choice. A fine choice indeed. De Bruyne, coach, he brings his mood. I mean, he must in game though. He has like a really good personality, I'd assume, right? Professional, a level-headed professional. Definitely how I'm sure most Belgian fans will describe him. So Kajagau's here, Simic is here. Dario Simic is returning, isn't he? I'm sure Dario Simic was here before. He was indeed, 2019 to 2022. Rekna set to sign. Beautiful. That's the goalkeeping coach. Right, so Sir Oliver, welcome in. Can the coach potential ratings be trusted? I have a young player with great form for 2 seasons, but now potential says playing close to full potential. So in some respects they can be, in some respects there is deliberately a little margin of error there. They don't want it to be like perfect knowledge, but you can generally have a pretty good idea that if a player is close to their potential, they probably are. That said, if you're saying that he's been great form for 2 seasons, that's brilliant. Does he need to improve? If he's already playing really, really good for you, then that's generally speaking quite a good sign. Let's go at the bottom of the valuation. They will say an improved offer needs to be submitted, so we won't submit an improved offer. 19 years old, by the way. It's quite possible that he's reached his ceiling. It is quite possible he's reached his ceiling. So partly when the player's in high form, they often overvalue CA, which means they see them close to their PA than they probably are. So even if they rank potential correctly, they might not judge their room for improvement right. Indeed. So Eddie, De Bruyne is a menace. He once almost destroyed Wembley out of anger. I mean, I think that's a reasonable reaction to Wembley, to be honest. Look at it. Am I going to give you 60 million euros for Elia Caprile? No, I'm not. I mean, we're going to pay what it takes probably because we need a starting goalkeeper. There we go, 47.5 million euros. Not that bad, really, in the scheme of things. But I don't think I want to mess around with them, to be frank. So exactly the same thing there. Baglieri, Hernandez. We want to watch the midfielders in particular. Vial now has dribble more. We've changed Elena Kane to a complete forward. So that's going to be like our areas of focus. So RJ, also, if your club is improving, the star rankings will be lower because the club is supposed to be better. That's true as well. Right, Johnson's off to watch the DFB Pokal game. Have a nice stream, everyone. Thank you very much for dropping by, my dude. Koku's Mouse is same as well. 100 min, 50 mil for a goalkeeper. Damn, we are rich. We have a transfer budget of around 130 million and like €1 million a week in the bank or something for wages. We have crazy money. But also, when we just take over a club, we don't have that scouting network right now. To sign an Italian goalkeeper who will be our starter for probably the next 5 or 6 years, that's pretty cheap, really. Yeah, it's almost half an Allison. That's the way I look at it. So Serachal says, exactly. Goalkeeper, most important player. Not having to worry about the flukes every 2 games is so nice. And that said, though, we also so with Caprile, we effectively scouted him ourselves. We did go and watch that last Roma game where they got relegated. He was absolutely fantastic. He's been a solid performer pretty much all his time there. At 29, entering his prime, so it's not like a complete stab in the dark. So let's just pause there. Let's make sure I've got these guys being watched. So I can't really gather much from the opening to highlights because they're both essentially throw-ins, as is highlight number 3. But I do like the way that Carralero's move laterally in both directions. So Bove appears to be a defensive option there. I feel like Bove's tall, isn't he? He's like 6'1", so I'm quite surprised by that. But again, we haven't set the set pieces properly at the moment. That's like a relatively low priority for us during pre-season. Right, so interestingly, there did seem to be, like, they were really tight together in the build-up. So that's a lovely finish by Xerxes. But the bit I was looking at here, so we've got Theo, our defensive midfielder, ahead of these two. Then we've got the Ungon. So we've got essentially 4 players here kind of paying attention to 2 players there. I would expect that Elena Kane, would have been staying higher. Bove being the one on the left to be the one coming out. Theo to kind of be where Bove is. So that's something to kind of be mindful of. That is, yeah, that's quite weird. Quite weird, if anything. But that does mean that Xerxes was behind the play when we won it, which meant that he was able to arrive late. It was a lovely finish. So Oliver, thanks for the answers. The player in question is Trisoldi, FM23, by the way. Fair enough. Google says Bove is almost 5'11". Fair enough. Thank you, Demir. Maybe he's dropping because of the complete forward role. Quite possibly. Actually, also I did say that we would probably want to ask the advanced forwards to step out wide anyway out of possession, didn't we? During the last game as well, because of our defensive narrowness. Yeah, Theo is far too high up, I feel. I want to see what happens if we change him to an anchor. See, we've not been particularly fluid in this game so far. Speraldo to Bove, into Xerxes. Xerxes in space is nice, even if his touch wasn't particularly great there. Here he is again. That's a lovely ball through, and that should have been a goal. That should have been a goal. He took it on his stronger foot. That's probably my favourite part of making tactics for myself. Like this is the fun bit, right? Where you're looking at all the small little bits and seeing how it moves. I'm okay, right. When we took over on Friday, and as we were looking at this on Monday as well, one of the things I said was I was quite surprised at how underwhelming Rafael Leao's attributes looked. I'm guessing he's got a lot of like 15s and 14s, because so a lot of things that are good attributes, but they're just not quite at the elite standard. I've really liked what I've seen from him so far. We've had to add dribble more onto him, but like every single pass seems to be really crisp. He moves it very quickly. Rafael Leao, I'm really liking the look of. Right, I'm pleased we've seen Bove there moving into more advanced areas quite nicely when the moment is right, and then dropping back into his role. That's kind of perfect. Nico seems to be staying a little bit deeper out of the two of them. Xerxes takes aim. Probably had space to do a little bit more, but as an Ungonch, you know, you don't expect him to be running around massively. Right, Nico to Baglieri. Back to Nico on that edge of the area. It's a good block in the end. I think I want to see what happens if we get further forward on. I quite like what I've seen from them both, but let's just see whether that kind of helps push. You know, it essentially gives another runner for Xerxes in that hole. So I mean, I'd rather be 15 at everything than 18 on 3 things. I mean, yeah, that's fair. That is fair. I suppose it depends what those 3 things are. Like, if I had a choice of 18 in charisma, humour, and general awesomeness, I'd probably take that if that means that I don't end up with a 15 in constitution. So Zerachil's rocking 20 off the ball, vision and charisma, rest at 0. Exactly. That's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean. So Gamebreaker's in. Welcome in, Gamebreaker. How you doing? Managing my Milan. You're in. You're in indeed. We've only just taken over. So on Friday evening we got the Milan job. It's now 2031, and this is we're playing friendlies in comprehensive detail so that I can learn the players. That's how deep in the weeds we are. The match engine does seem to like a type of holy trinity, though. I mean, the match engine. Yeah, there's always going to be meta attributes. The match engine though does like quite a lot of different things too. So yeah, we're in 2031, Gamebreaker. We spent 4 years in Finland with IFK Mariehamn. Then we moved to Germany. We took over Darmstadt in the Zweite Division. We saved them from relegation, got them promoted, and then qualified for Europe 2 years running. And then we stepped down. We were like, we need a new challenge. And Milan decided that we are good enough for them, which is nice. We've still got quite a few real players there, a couple of new gens coming through. So yeah, hopefully, I mean, like there's not a single new gen in that starting lineup, which says something. Theor with the header, that's pretty solid. You just coast by your natural 20 good looks. Oh, DM Basis, you are a glorious liar. FMGNG, I have 18 in IQ. I get by. I mean, who needs more than that? People in triple figures are just showing off. You get says true FM experience watching the friendlies and all. So this is the weird thing. You know that I do like the Moneyball Clinic videos. Now the whole concept of Moneyball Clinic, and I've got to get through a lot of time in a very short period, which means that I instant result all the games, with the exception of Preseason, as I'm putting the tactic together. Weirdly enough, so that means the way I play the game for those videos specifically is I only play friendlies, which feels a bit weird. Feels very, very weird. As strikers with 10 finishing still scoring the game, movement is key. Indeed, I have 18 in tiredness. Oh yes. If I could have an 18 in napping, that would be nice. That would be like, I suppose it would be a like you know how it's not called punching, it's called tendency to punch. Tendency to nap 18. 100%. Well, not if it's 18. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. So I want to have a look here at a couple of things in terms of possession. Let's have a look at the touches of Baglieri and Hernandez. So they have been on the ball quite a bit. We've got good coverage out in those wide areas, which I'm reasonably encouraged by. In fact, let's do that with the heat map as well. So that will show us. So they don't seem to be as involved kind of there. I'm happy with that from Baglieri. We've got a lot of receiving the ball in that final third out wide. A little bit less with Hernandez. Does seem to be arguably maybe a few too many touches in central positions, so we might need to ask them to stay wider. So stay wider. Stay wider. I think that means we're going to ask for the overlaps there. I actually wasn't that impressed with. So Nico has comes deep to get ball, which kind of makes sense. But I don't think it did make any positive impact trying to ask him to get further forwards. So let's do the changes. Let's have a look at which players we've got out there. I think Kari would be playing on the right-hand side. So he's likely to be the more creative. He's more creative than Heza. So I'd like to see what he's like in the second half with take more risks. Actually, is there any other movement-based stuff there? Could I ask him to run wide with ball? We can't ask him to dribble more or less. So let's try that. Let's try asking them to run wide with the ball so they kind of support and get a little bit closer to the wing backs as well initially, which allows them to kind of stay in that area and support underneath. Carmona and Fataru. Fataru as an advanced forward. Let's try this as well. We're going to ask these guys to stay wider. Essentially, we're doing a lot of things to try and make sure that there aren't a load of bodies around the Ongonch, but also that they can then stretch the play, hopefully, for the Ongonch to find with his passing. Showing me why he deserves a place in the team. Hey, one player reacted. That's worth it. Just one player reacting makes it absolutely worthwhile. So 20 napping, 20 beard, 20 fast eating. That sounds perfect. Yigit has 20 at laziness. A fine thing to have 20 in. Nightcrawler has 20 in off the ball, i.e. not having to deal with the ball in centimetres, and 20 in teeth. I mean, I would go so far as to suggest that anything more than 20 teeth Nightcrawler is just showing off. 100% just showing off. Napping 18, beard 20, hair's now a 0. It's unfair. I don't understand why Sports Interactive programmed it that you can go from having 20 hair to 0 hair just like that. Disgraceful. Right, Venturelli coming forwards. Good block. S-Shark, by the way, thank you very much for the follow earlier. I do apologise that it's taken me a while to notice. So Eddie has a 20 in believing you have 20 for everything. 20 delusion. The best one to have, because if you've got delusion, you're happy. You're happy. That's the best way forward. Right, so is this going to be a highlight for Gang 1? No, that's cool. So Bernardo. That's not going in. There's Heze and Kari. I want to have them watched. Knight says, yep, you keep your teeth on the back, and I wheeze instead of laughing, so all the girls love me. I mean, those are the secrets to love, isn't it? What makes people attractive is an incorrect number of teeth and wheezing. So I can understand it. It definitely tracks. Right, carries in behind, should have scored there. Right, went through packed t-shirt, underwear, socks and toiletries, realised I didn't really need to pack anything else. Thought that wasn't quite the mission I thought it would be. I mean, so I assume, DM basis, you're just going with like carry-on luggage, right? If it's just the one evening. So the less things you think you need to pack, doesn't that mean hopefully the more like extra stuff you can add? The more snacks you can take with you for whilst you have to wait at the airport. That's the real important part, let's be fair. Right, Fataru's taken a knock. We will take him off, I think. Bit of an underwhelming shot. So Fataru off. Antich on. No, let's bring on Delusha. Delusha is transfer listed. So let's get him out in that shop window. See if he could do something to impress. So RJ, you'd probably have work rate and teamwork and determination around 16, and the rest below 10 if I had a card from when I was playing. So I think this is the genuinely an interesting discussion, I think, because I genuinely believe that my attributes from when I was playing would be negative. So there were two players that have been in FM that I've played with in the past, both kind of lower level. Well, one was a former Chelsea youngster. He was a Chelsea youngster until he punched his coach, and that meant that he was no longer a Chelsea youngster. And then he became a Norwich youngster until he punched his coach, and then he ended up no longer being a Norwich youngster, and he eventually became a Charlton youngster, where he did make his breakthrough. He did play quite a bit at League One level, and then someone else who was down in non-league, like sort of like Vanarama national level. And if I base my attributes off what we've conceded, oh dear, yeah, if I base my attributes off what they would be relative to him, then I think my passing would be around a -3. My stamina probably around -7 or 8. Not nowadays, but back then, my acceleration and pace, I was a little bit quicker than him, so I would have probably been around 13's around 12, something like that. I think I'd be kind of okay for some of those mental attributes. I think they'd be positive, but yeah, I think a lot of the technical attributes, crazy low.
It's not the statistics. You tell me, how do you measure somebody that could balance a balloon in a wind tunnel on a needle?
Oh, G&G with the gift subscription to RJ. What a gentleman you are. What a gentleman you are. But now it's going to make it much harder for me to time me replying to him for the ads. I'll have to do it deliberately as we go to an ad break. Or I suppose I could just... Because, you know, at least there's some comedy value to muting the mic. Right, so DM basis, yeah, rock sack only, bring back ciggies for mum with space for any other random shite I find, and any interesting alcohol duty-free finds. Exactly. You want to pack as light as possible so you can pack that bag up. So, Niku Busi, yo, men, would you want to rate your FM team? I'm sure if people want to, they will do. Obviously, I won't. I'm in the middle of playing a game, I'm afraid. So, RJ, in Dutch, of course, because the internet ad, Belgian people all speak Dutch. That's fair. I mean, well, I'm sure I've said this before, but you're basically Dutch anyway, right? That's how it works. The north part of Belgium is just fake Netherlands, or Netherlands is fake Belgium, whichever way round you want to look at it. I'm not going to pick sides. And the southern part of Belgium is all the tearaways, right? You want to embody that French spirit of rebellion and smoking. Here's the cross. Is it gonna be 3-2? Second half, I feel we've been a little bit rubbish. Sure, it's a full half of reserves, so you kind of expect them to be worse. But I don't feel like I've seen from Carey what I wanted to, so I'm not sure I'm all that enthusiastic about asking the players to run wide with ball or stay wider. I did like Venturelli getting forward, so for the wing backs, I think we'll have them stay wider, but I don't think the changes that we made to the Carraleros will stick. A Sadian bassist went to school with a few Saints and Dundee players, so seeing them in early games and how they were rated, I'd be ones across the board. Yeah, that's pretty much how I feel. So Eddie, he became a Chelsea man then. He did in many respects. He might as well be a boxer. Just, some people, especially when you're young and you have anger issues, I think that being a good footballer means that sometimes you are given, for his age group, that he gets given a wide berth, and that means that you don't necessarily have the same support network around you that maybe helps you with those anger issues, because what do you know, I'm going to be a famous footballer one day. So I have a feeling that there probably wasn't necessarily back in those days the right kind of support around him to minimize those opportunities. So RJ says, nope, you're not fake Dutch and you're not French either. I just want to wind you up, it's all good. Isn't Belgium just where France, Germany and Holland came to brawl and eat chocolate? And where the world comes to discuss world problems, that's fair. We all kicked them out of Belgium. All I know is why goods for my day job go through Belgian ports, there is delays. I mean, is it just Belgian ports? Or like, is that... I've only met face to face like a small handful of Belgian people, and they've all struck me as very, very relaxed, almost Parisian in a sense. They much rather be spending time maybe smoking some cigarettes outside a cafe, looking occasionally waifish. All had fabulous moustaches as well. So I can kind of imagine that, like, ships come into port and they'll just be like, yeah, we'll get to it when we need to. We'll get to it eventually, and it'll all be fine. Cool. Okay, so couple of changes from there. Let's sort out our first choice goalkeeper. Let's get him down to 135. 140. 145. There we go. We are masters of negotiation. Elia Caprile's agent comes to us. Gianluigi Perotti. We have no relationship. He's known to be a flexible and willing negotiator. And he came to us and he said, my client wants 155,000 euros a week. And we said no. We said, no, we're not willing to do that. We'll give you 135. He said 155. So we said no. We will give you 140. He said 155. And we said no. We'll give you 145. Then he said 155, and we said okay. So that is some excellent negotiation from us. Excellent negotiation from us. For Taru, that's just a small injury, should be fine. So So Eddie wants to make a joke about a certain Chelsea facial expression, but I think that would have been too far. I assumed that's what you were going for when you described him as a Chelsea man. Everyone likes to smile every once in a while. The Belgian and German ports are tied for second. Portugal wins. Fair. Parisian, relaxed. I don't know where you went, sir, but it was not Paris. Okay, that's fair. I'm talking about a specific type of Parisian. And with the Belgians, I just mean there's that kind of almost aloofness that with those that I've met. Very, very lovely, wonderful people to be around. Wonderful people to be around. Although that might have been because I think they were perpetually drunk. And around that time, I was probably perpetually drunk as well. Right, we've got ourselves a centre-back. 33-year-old Nikola Milenkovic is coming in, and that means we look to sell 27-year-old Kaiki. He's not going to react well, apparently. That's fine. I don't mind. You've got to deal with it because you were rubbish last season. Registration. Oh, we can sort registration out much closer to the season starting. I mean, I might as well just tell you that you were shit. You're not part of my plans. And there we go. We must insist. We must insist. If you said north of France, sure. Fair enough. So Coatiba's in. Welcome in, Coatiba. How are you doing? How are you feeling about the return of Serie B? I mean, great news on the ticket prices coming down. Hopefully that means the football will also improve in some way as well. Milenkovic is now considered a big signing, potentially taking the spot of Joshua Zirkzee as one of our main shirts. FM24's in. Welcome in, my dude. In responsibilities, you are on charge of assigning scouts. We are indeed. We are indeed. So generally speaking, we won't be, and we will go through and add some more recruitment focuses in a moment. But we are ultimately just focusing on those that we've got. They're very, very broad. We've got like loads of scouts on here. So we've got like 7 scouts just kind of doing anything just as we build this up. And then we're going to do proper focuses once we've kind of got to where we want to be with it all. What have we got coming through in terms of white backs? Preferably experienced white backs. So after we last looked, we have got, here's a 23-year-old Braulio Crespo. Braulio Crespo has only played 13 games for Villarreal. So I'm not feeling comfortable there. Yan Kutu's still at 40 million, which is crazy money. Luciano Medina's 30 to 45 million. He's a Barcelona player. That makes a little bit more sense there. Nothing that stands out at us there. A 19-year-old that's worth 92 million already because he's at Real Madrid. Gonçalo Estevez at Sporting, 102 games. That's a good sign. So he was signed for 4.5 million from Heracles, who themselves bought him from Sporting. 19 starts, 23 sub appearances, 12 starts, 24, 11 starts, 27, 5 starts, 28. Okay, so this is a player that hasn't been able to hold down a starting spot at Sporting, which isn't that encouraging. However, what are his weaknesses? His weaknesses are jumping. So he's not going to be good in the air. That's not the biggest of concerns for me. He can do all the things in possession that you want him to do. Good determination, good personality, good price tag. Not injury prone. Covers a lot of distance, progressive. We're not seeing much in terms of open play key passes. 120th for open play cross attempts. That's a little underwhelming, I feel. So yeah, I'm not that enthusiastic. Nico Williams isn't a player I thought I'd be looking at, and I won't be, not for 30 million. Mathieu Julien. That's Sochaux. So he started to become a starter in recent seasons. Down in Ligue 2. Probably not what we're looking at right now. How about Guy Corral? Just the 18 appearances for Lyon. They are very much substitute appearances we see. I think that pulled knee ligaments for Tommaso Profundi isn't great either. Profundi is currently our top target at right back, I believe, and I'm not that enthused. Now, Oscar Hill. Yeah, he's very much on the fringes now at 33. We can pass on that. Did we get our report back on Salamakers or Sicker? We haven't got those reports back, so that might play a large part. Eddie, our beer culture is considered heritage by UNESCO. I mean, it one of the things that I struggle with is when I watch back the VODs and try and take note and learn things. I'm trying very, very hard to stop saying today. That's one of my key takeaways from what I've been watching recently. Is that sometimes my tone sounds a lot more serious than I intend it to. So when I say, let's be honest, the only element of Belgian culture that could be considered heritage would have to be around alcohol. I don't mean that genuinely. Obviously, you've got chocolate as well and smoking. But yeah, just playing into the stereotype. It's all good. I don't actually believe that, but I still don't want to sell Bove. We will reveal Milenkovic there. So Korotiba, you're excited for the game on Saturday? Because if we lose, it won't be a waste of money. That's perfect. Nightcrawler says that Belgium has the best fancy beer, or off beer as I call it. In general, Germany's regional beers will never be touched. That's fair. RJ says all 1,500 different beers from Belgium. There's almost as many beers as there are people. So apologies for pronouncing Ongonch as Ongonch rather than Enganch. Enganch. Ongonchi. Engache. That's it. I've settled that I'm going to call it Enganche from now on, regardless of how it should be pronounced. I'm happy to have signed Milenkovic. Happy there. Good player. Yep, he's a good player. Yep, he's a good player. Nope. Yeah, old people are fine. I'm ignoring your question about too many. Competition is good. We've got some nice people here. A 33-year-old is part of our long-term vision. I think that's covered it. We've got some offers coming in for Barbieri. 30k, 30% wages is a little bit rubbish, so we will reject those. We've kept this going because we only got 2 additional applications in, and we're going to want to hire about 6 coaches. Here comes a fitness coach. Leffe Blonde is very much liked worldwide. Leffe is a classic, to be fair. Seb loves a bit of Leffe. I like a good Curve de Trolls sometimes. Curve de Trolls. So that would be troll beer. Waffles, fries, no, just smoking chocolate and beer. Smoking chocolate and beer, nothing else. Most of mainland Europe has smoking. It's a cultural thing. You know, there's a lot of talk about preserving European culture. And I think European culture is basically just heart disease and lung disease. So I'm a bit surprised why they're trying to preserve it. That's closer to the actual pronunciation. It's a Spanish word. I say we're going with it. We're going with it. Mr. Echo's in. Gamma Joba, how you doing, Mr. Echo? Busy day for you. Can you tell me how we're doing? You have missed some big stuff. We have played 2 friendlies. We've played them in a lot of detail. So you've not really missed too much. We have signed a 33-year-old Nikola Milenkovic as a centre-back. We signed Joshua Zirkzee on Monday evening. No one is interested in Kaiki, who we've transfer listed, so let's do this at 55, and then we'll offer out in due course. So inner your pep accent to say Ongonche, Nganche, Engunche, or Ongunche. I just keep on making weird noises from now. I do apologise. So yeah, we're doing good. Hiring game wise, we have no clue whatsoever. Hetty's now going to be confused about everything you say. You should be. Do not pay attention to the weird man in the corner of your screen. So, sorry, do I make my own training schedules? We do indeed have our own training schedules. So for pre-season, it's just a lot of endurance and resistance and fitting in recovery all the way through. In terms of during the actual season itself, we have... Oh, that game got cancelled. I didn't notice that. Need to sort something out there. We have this basic system, which is that we fill it up with things like ground defense, aerial defense, chance conversion, and chance creation. These training schedules all have the secondary unit focusing on their individual roles, so that we can focus on developing players around the attributes that we want, essentially. So, was that the Barcelona game has been cancelled? Oh, bugger. That leaves us with Brazilian teams and Saudi teams. Can we get a better set of opposition? Probably none of them are going to come over to Italy, right? Yeah, it's completely understandable that all... Right, Galatasaray will come to Italy. So it looks like our last game is now going to be Galatasaray, which is a bit of a shame. That is a significant drop down in quality. And that's now done some weird stuff here. Right, match preparation review, physical recovery, and then we go. This is the last week, so it's physical match tactics, recovery, match review, tactical and possession, team bonding and community outreach. So some more transfers planned, asked Mr. Rico. We still need a right back. We have got our scouts looking at a couple of slightly more experienced players. So potential of bringing back Alexis Sailormakers and potentially Hugo Sickett. The third choice is a young player called Tommaso Profundi, but we would like some experience in that position if we possibly can. Loan offers for the youngster. They're all a little bit rubbish. Here we go. Yeah, we're ignoring training stuff to begin with. Sure, we can do that. Yeah, we know about that. Happy to add these guys to loan list. Not there, though. So does he have a loan status? He does. A 19-year-old now is too old for the under-20s. That seems very, very harsh. High potential. They like Venturelli. Boussis out on loan. Coaching department. So there were suggestions for Mr. Volcano. It's a great name. Don't need another fitness coach. We do have a spot for another scout. Okay, but he knows Italy only, which we already have more than enough coverage on. We do still have a spot for another, because the Atletico Madrid guy turned us down. That hasn't been advertised, sadly. That hasn't. I don't know how long you have to wait until after it's ended, sadly. Goalkeeper's hopefully coming in as well. Thank you very much for reminding me, RJ. Yes, indeed. Hopefully a new number one. An offer from Newcastle. Brilliant. That will solve that situation. Hopefully, anyway. So I want to keep these guys on stay wider. I want to see... Right, so we've got players who are a good quality. So let's have a look at them as both ball-playing defenders. Should probably have been on sweeper keeper all along because of our high defensive line. So anchor is what we changed to during the course of the game. We did find that Theor was quite high up. I was more pleased with Bove than I was with Nico. Let's just try them. Try Lenacano as deep line forward on attack. Let's give him that try. So I want to see the overlap. I don't have a problem with tempo, but I will try... No, actually. Keep that neutral. I want to see us build up from deeper, though, a little bit more. See if maybe we can control the game. Suck teams out a little bit. See how that gets on as we face up against the Pohang Steelers. And what we will do is we've watched a couple of games on hire. We'll go down to extended highlights from this point onwards. Hopefully we should be able to see enough from there. Fingers crossed. That's the Nightcrawler. 3 syllables. N as in English men. Gan as in Gander. Engan. Che as in Che Guevara. Enganche. Enganche. Beautiful. Stress on the second syllable. Enganche. I'll stop being silly. Thank you, Nightcrawler. Galatasaray has the same transfer philosophy than you. No players under 35. Never any players under 35. This is the AC Milan way. You've got... When I think about Italian football, I think about old players. That's just how it is in my head. But there is kind of like a slightly more that's a nice free kick. That's a nice free kick. There is a certain element that isn't modelled, I don't think, particularly well in Football Manager, which is the value of experience. So I don't feel like Football Manager distinguishes as much between if you've got 2 players with the exact same attributes and everything, one's 23, the other's 31, there is no discernible difference between them, and that makes sense. That's kind of right. If you have 2 players that were exactly the same, then they should be exactly the same. But I think that generally speaking, in real life, older players tend to be a little bit more consistent, a little bit better decision making wise. I think the default database does that reasonably well. I think once you start to get to a certain inflection point between the real world and the new gens, that attribute distribution maybe sometimes creates players that are a little bit too good mentally. That can mean that it's very, very easy just to sign a team full of young players that will be ready to step in. Subsequently, I'm like, nope, let's try and do what I feel like a team like AC Milan would do, which is we'll bring in a couple of young players every now and then, but we're probably going to be looking at established players. If we joined before the free transfer window had opened, you'd probably get them signing 1 or 2 players on a free transfer. You know, maybe an established starter or 2 as well. And then there'd be a number of young players that would come through and be sitting in their ridiculously sized youth squads of 500 players at each level, and then all loaned out. Zelenakana with the header. It's been alright so far. That was perfect with a slight English accent in the English context, which is needed for loan words not to sound silly. Well done. Thank you very much, Nightcrawler. Lies, Buffon was always 40-year-old masterclass. So RJ, all these players were young at some point, indeed. And a large element of that is that you give those young players a chance to develop at other teams. They can be our feeder club, right? RJ is pretty certain he remembers Buffon young at Parma, but he wasn't at AC Milan. Same with the likes of Pirlo, Inzaghi, and Zola. Probably. And I mean, obviously, you've got, when we talk about it from a Milan context as well, you've got quite famous one-club players that broke through very young and stayed there all their career, like Maldini. So there are always opportunities for players to come through. But at the same time, they should hopefully come through the youth setup. We've got Baglieri in there right now. I don't think Siklic is a homegrown player, or he might be homegrown, might be naturalized homegrown now, but I don't think he came through from youth academy to begin with. I think he was signed. We've got the Bonanno, was it? The young player as well. So we've got some players that we think will come through and be those supplementary youth players. So fine with that. So Bonato is 23 now. He's going to have a part to play. Venturelli, as well as Baglieri, Brignoni. So we've got those young players already kind of there. We kind of want to hope that most of that is going to be addressed through the youth setup rather than through transfers, and that kind of saves our money to splash crazy amounts on players that we don't know enough about because we joined after the season had rolled over. And let's give Antic that spot there. Standard. Go out there, show me what you've got. And then we go there. Totti at Roma, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, everyone was intoxicated during the times of Pirlo, and you know that's just Central European stuff, right? Actually, it's Italy, South Europe, isn't it? I always find regions of Europe weird because, well, no, actually, Italy's Mediterranean. You wouldn't. Yeah, so I would. You consider the Mediterranean would be similar. I would lump in Italy, Spain, Greece, and Portugal. But they are definitely different culturally to say France, Germany, Netherlands, Belgium. Well, parts of France. What am I talking about? Right, so 90s and early 2000s, intoxicated. The only way to be. Pepe looked the same all his career. He did come through looking like a 40-year-old man, to be fair, which is fortunate because I'm pretty certain the only reason why Pepe carried on playing until he was 40 was just so that he finally looked his age. This is another second half where we've been a little bit flat. Not going to lie. Here comes free kick. I feel like that might well be the play out of defence. Let's take that off. Let's say we want to play with a little bit more urgency, though. And there's the goal. It's been coming, let's be fair. It has definitely been coming. The Mediterranean climate most definitely does do that. Sorry, I do apologise, by the way, Eddie. I did see the mystery mini game. We will be doing that. So after this game finishes, there's going to be another ad break. To answer your comments earlier on, in a more serious way as well, is what essentially I do is every 2 ad breaks that come up, I will take a break myself, because sitting in front of a computer screen without moving is generally quite unhealthy. So I take the opportunities to step away, to stretch my legs, to refill my drink, to go to the toilet, to poison my lungs, and all that kind of stuff. So I'll be doing that after we finish this particular match, and then we will head into the next mystery minigame. That is, of course, if this game does end, we... Oh, it's struggling with the sizing there. So granted, momentum is very much feels like it's shaped by what we experience through highlights. So I'm surprised that what's felt like Pohang have been a little bit more on top in the second half hasn't necessarily been the case. In fact, we turned the tempo up, and if anything, we have lost out a little bit. That said, you kind of expect that if you increase the tempo. That's kind of the point. We want to be more urgent, which means we're going to give the ball away a little bit more, but hopefully we're established in the half and so forth. I think he's self-medicating to tolerate us lot. We be a tough crowd. Some of my best jokes never land. It's very, very hard to take. I mean, I don't know if they land, to be fair, because I'm usually so far behind on chat. There's no point in anyone saying like lol, because I won't know what you're talking about, because I won't read it until like another 5 minutes. So I just assume that you're all finding me absolutely hilarious every moment of every stream. There's not a single moment where you're not thinking this guy is the funniest man alive. A laugh delay, indeed. Right, game's surely got to be over now. That second half was just a lot of set pieces. I'm not sure I'm happy. Oh, good shot. Unlucky not to get a goal. Yeah, I think we still need a few little tweaks there. I've been positive about Rafael Leao's contributions. Don't think we've got Elena Kana right. I think that we might need to have a little bit more diversity in what we're doing in midfield as well, so that we can kind of have a bit more staggered. That's what I'm thinking anyway. DM Base, if it helps, I do. That's why I love you, man. That's why I love you. Sometimes you don't most of the time, sometimes you don't understand, but it's on me. It's probably better not to understand, considering the amount of nonsense I talk, let's be fair. Right, solid, not special. I think we want to diversify up, so maybe we turn one of these into a Mazzala, and that would mean that the wing back on that side is a little bit less attacking. We try and have a bit more dynamism going there. That's something though for us to deal with after the break. So I'm going to see you guys in about 3 to 4 minutes, and then we'll play a little mini game. See you shortly. And we're back. We're back. So we're going to play a round of top 10. And now, if you guys haven't been here before, let me explain how that works. This is, you're going to receive a criteria. Currently just beneath me, just sort of down there is the word criteria. And then shortly, I'm going to reveal a specific set of circumstances. And I want you to name the top 10 players that match those criteria. It could be, for example, the most goals in a World Cup or most appearances for a certain club. All you need to do is pop in the player's name. Now, if a player, all we need is the player's surname. The surname is... I'm going to start this again because that was the worst explanation I think I've ever done. And I've done some pretty bad explanations. Welcome to Top 10. Let me explain how this works. In a few moments, I'm going to reveal criteria, and you need to name the top 10 players that match that criteria. Spelling matters. You will need to spell the player's name correctly. Now, generally speaking, surname is all you need. If every player in that list has a unique surname, you only need their surname. If two players in that list share a surname, for example, most appearances for Denmark includes both Peter Schmeichel and Kasper Schmeichel, then you'd need to provide their whole name. Other than that, it doesn't matter if it's all uppercase or lowercase, whether you include accents or not. Just fastest finger wins. So, right underneath me, this side, just there, that's going to tell you what we're looking for. And what we're looking for today is most appearances for AC Milan by non-Italians. So Eddie, does this include special letters? So as I said, accents, so grave letter E or A, you can include it, you don't need to include it. It will pick it up either way. So we've got guesses coming in. RJ's come in with Wayo as an early guess. It's fine, but sadly not there. Shevchenko, DM Basis first on the board. Tyreek George fan is second on the board with Kaka. Beautiful Bierhoff. Bierhoff doesn't make the list, incredibly. Neither does Ibrahimovic. But Seedorf is number one. That's another great point for DM Basis. Zerachul went for Ibrahimovic, and right, that's spelling it correctly the second time. Cafu's not there, but Dida is. DM Basis once again, this time pipping Coritiba to the post. It's DeMarco there. That would have been nice. Nightcrawler correctly come through with Gunnar Nordahl, just beating Zerachul on that one. This has been a rough round for Zerachul so far. No Hullet, sadly. No Tamori, no Royal. It's Eddie has picked up on Kakaba Kaladze. Beautiful stuff there. Sadly, no Mora, no Pulisic, no Rijkaard. Nesta, sadly, is Italian. Stam isn't on that list, I don't think. Ivani, Loftus-Cheek, Hullet. Tyreek George fan picks up on Theo Hernandez. That is beautiful stuff. So could it be Camoranesi? It's not Camoranesi, not Leao, not Abraham, not Van Basten. We have... So of those players, two of them are definitely very old school, and Zerachul has picked up on Liedholm. Liedholm was a fantastic guess from Zerachul there. One player left, very old. Another one, not that old at all. I mean, you know, I wouldn't consider it old. So that could mean any time in like the last 30 years, to be fair. So it's not Altafini, it's not Papan, it's not Dida, it's not Cafu. Dida is already on that list. It's not Gattuso, not Kamada, not Helveg, Rui Costa, Desai, Boban, Inzaghi, non-Italian players. Just a reminder there, it is non-Italian players. Let me go and pull up my lovely little list here. So we have a Brazilian player. Oh, okay, you guys have already got there. You've got there, fabulous stuff. I was going to say that we've got one Brazilian, but it's Jamie 16. No, Jamie 14. Jamie 14 comes in with Serginho. Just before him, Eddie picked up on Schnellinger. Incredible stuff, guys. Incredible. That was a tricky one. A very tricky one with a couple of real old-timey players in there. Gunnar Naldal, Niels Liedholm, Karl-Heinz Schnellinger. Some absolute classics in like Seedorf, Shevchenko, Kaka. But it does feel weird having some big omissions that didn't quite reach the 250 game mark. Fabulous work, guys. Fabulous work. George Weah was not in the top. So when I say the top 50, that's top 50 regardless of nationality. So I pop over to transfermarket.com, and then from there I looked at the list of all-time appearances, and I just ignored the ones that had Italian flags next to their names. So I think that yeah, so what the bottom one there was 253. I think that was around the 45th most appearances for AC Milan. So I don't think he was quite in there. Ta. 10 million is a lot. I will offer you 1,000 euros. Looks like Kaiki's staying. That is one way for him to keep his job here, I suppose. But there is no way that we are paying someone 10 million euros to leave the club. I'm sure that we can leave it a little while, maybe try and send him out, get someone to bite once again. And then if we don't, we can drop down to like 50 million euros and we'll see how it goes. But I understand why Kaiki doesn't want to leave now, because absolutely nobody's going to be willing to pay him 300,000 euros a week. So man, this be hard. It was a tricky one. Finally, points for DMB. A good round for you, DMB. A very, very good round. Kaiki, that scrub. I mean, I've got to admire it. I've got to admire the chutzpah. Igor Paxal just scored for Feyenoord. Marvellous. I don't know what... Oh, what's going on in the English games? Oh, okay. So Villa drawing at half-time. Liverpool and Everton drawing at half-time. Bournemouth are losing at home to Ipswich. That's bold. Away was only a few seasons at Milan. But it's still that, like, he's got to be pretty high, doesn't he? He's like 100, 150, 160 games or so, which like feels like a lot to me. Lazio have come in with a loan offer for Kovacic. We do not want to sell him. Oh, nope, that's the wrong way. Let's just like randomly push that up, see what they say. Yep, I'm fine with that. Cool. Still don't want to sell Hernandez. We do have a new goalkeeper though. Elia Caprile comes in for 47.5 million euros. He's also earning 200,000 euros less per week than Maignan was. So over the course of a season, we essentially saved 10 million euros from that. I think we should be reasonably content with that deal. That said, it'll turn out that it'll be absolutely rubbish for us, and I'm going to regret every moment of it. So Kaiki, do we bring him onto the bench? No, we don't. There's plenty of teams interested in him, in fact. Cool. So the changes I'm going to look at, I think we go back. Elena Kana describes an advanced forward. Teamwork is low. I'm going to try going back to a complete forward. I'm going to ask Nico to be a Mazzala on attack and Baglieri to be a wing-back on support. So we have the width on that side. Carolero being a slightly more defensive player that moves laterally. Nico will move laterally but maybe more aggressive, with Baglieri more of an option behind play. Going to take play out of defence off, so we're going to roll it out anyway. So we're going to build up from those defensive areas. We tried increasing the tempo. Let's just see how we are. drop the passing a notch and just see how it goes from there. So Zerachul only remembered half those names after we had the Italian all-time goal scorers last. That's true. I probably shouldn't have had 2 Italian top 10s in a row. That's a fair point. It's a very, very fair point. So Villa is winning 0-0. It's only 114 games for Weah. I'm shocked by that. I'm genuinely shocked by that. Even Zlatan had more. He had like 150. Callum, can I check how Rangers are getting on in your save? I can't, I'm afraid, Callum. We don't have the Scottish leagues loaded, so there isn't really any information there to explore, I'm afraid. Eddie, is a complete forward a tactical choice or more because a player is capable of doing it? So it's kind of an element of both of those things. Elena Kana has the physicality to be more than just an advanced forward. Having someone who can then kind of help link play a little bit, especially when down that side we've also got the more attacking wing back, is something I kind of like, which is why we're trying with a deep lying forward as well. We played him as an advanced forward in that first game, so it is mainly a part of trying to learn a little bit about what kind of role he's going to work best in. I think that we've got a lot of leeway for fiddling around during preseason because we don't have that data from the previous season, and we're still learning our players. It's just ultimately a lot of trial and error. So Elena Kana is capable. He most definitely is capable. And I think there's also the possibility that we might look in a couple of games as well. So I think our next game is against Brescia, about trying a system as well with like a trequartista and 2 false nines, because we have some players that we're going to be playing up front who are more traditionally considered as wingers. I think it'd be quite interesting to see what they're like if they drop deep and kind of then run outwards, whilst we have somebody as like a trequartista, maybe even a shadow striker, who would then be kind of attacking that space. So it looks like a 4-4-2 diamond, but actually plays closer to a narrow 4-3-3. Ain't easy being Daisy. Welcome in, my dude. Hope you're doing well. Can't wait to see you guy my club to glory. They're also playing Inter at the moment in the Coppa Italia. They are indeed. How is the game going? How is the game going? Yeah, so we've only just taken over Daisy. We are less than a month. Maybe just over a month now in charge, in game that is, not real lifetime. So we are very much getting used to this squad in the 2031-2032 season. So it's 0-0 at half time. They're winning 0-0 too, just like Villa. It's the best result. It's not the best result actually. Let me pop on over, because with Bournemouth losing, that's great for Villa. If we could win, that would take us above Brighton. That would give us another 2. Okay, finish that. That would give us another 2 points, take us up to 48. Take Brighton down to 47. It would bring us within 2 points of Newcastle, which would be quite nice. Newcastle themselves are winning, so if Newcastle concede, if Newcastle concede, Man City concede 3 at home to one of the worst teams in the league, we could be back in the Champions League next season, which would be pretty astonishing. Right, Tior to Nico back to Milenkovic. Baglieri's in a good spot, drills the cross low. Are we getting the kind of depth that I want to see there? Oh, accidental. Yep. There I am, and now because I was looking at stuff over on my laptop, I accidentally unmuted it. So Lena Kerner should have had the hat-trick there. So, does anybody understand how Optastat works in FM? Opta in FM, as far as I understand, is I think it's when... No is the short answer. Realistically, we've got It's either the first 2/3 of the pitch or the last 2/3 of the pitch, which it measures, and it measures different to the way round the Opta measures. That's all I can remember on the matter. I didn't realise Villa dropped to 8th. What happened? Legit question. We've been very inconsistent this season. I mean, none of it really surprises me particularly. We, like many teams have, we've struggled with injuries. For a significant portion of this season, we had just one centre-back fit, and we were constantly rotating. Like, one centre-back would come back from injury and another one would get injured on that very game. So we've struggled to have that kind of unity. We've lost a lot of depth in midfield as well. Anana's been injured a lot. Camara's came back from a big long injury. Barkley's been out. So we've struggled to maintain like throughput. But also it's very, very tight. All the teams, like from 4th down to about 10th, there's not much of a difference between any of them. So yeah, like it should be hopefully quite an interesting end to the season. The only thing that's going to be interesting at the end of the season as well, to be completely frank, because the title's wrapped up, relegation is wrapped up. Even with Ipswich winning away from home right now against Bournemouth, like, their season's done. There is no hope for them, surely. So let's have a look at this possibility. Which would be something like that. Now, Bernardo, possibly in that role. Bernardo's right-footed, yeah. And then we'd say one wide with ball. One wide with ball. Let's see how that goes in the second half after we've told them to show us why you should be in the team. And but a United player scoring. Good thing it was for Aston Villa, not Man United. Well, hey, freaking Rashford. Rashford's got his goal. Well, hey. United players are good when they leave. That's fair. So there's 7 points between 4th and 10th. It's very, very tight. A lot of teams, and if you consider that's between 4th and 10th in a season where Man United and Tottenham Hotspur aren't even in the mix at all, it's crazy. Just a lot of teams that are taking points off each other. No one's really putting together a sustained run. A lot of teams struggling with their own injury problems. So I'm glad that there is something at least left for some excitement towards the end of the season. Now I say that, Man City will like win all of their last games of the season. There'll be no competition whatsoever. So the leadership at United are less intelligent than cockroaches. It seems... I do wonder what's going on behind the scenes in many respects, because it feels like each manager that's come in has been told you need to scapegoat one player and you need to make them a sign of your authority. And they get scapegoated, they get sent out of the club. They're kind of okay. So, I see that you're modifying the tactic from match to match. Do you not have it fully defined yet? No, as I've been saying before, we've just taken over at the club. We don't know much about the players. We have very limited information about their attributes. We've joined after the season stats changed over. We don't have many players in our scouted list because we've just taken over, so we can't make informed transfers this early on. So we're using preseason to learn about our team. We have the out of possession structure is set, the shape is set. Most of those roles are kind of starting to emerge, but we are learning, we're adapting, we're trying different things out. Some of it's about what those roles are going to be in terms of set big time. Some of it is going to be about how we adapt when we bring different players in over the course of the season as well. So a lot of learning going on. As Heze pulls out another game where we've conceded. Granted, it was from a penalty this time. So Leao was a weird player for UNFM. Couldn't get him to perform out wide on the left, so I put him up top, and he got 50+ goal contributions. I'm liking Leao up front. We're trying it at the moment, and I think he's a good player for us. I think he's going to be cracking. Did I see Elanga's goal yesterday? Absolutely. As sure we have Xerxes and Hoycrap. I mean, your problem is you're not playing Xerxes and Ngonch. So I'm going back to Ngonch. I do apologise. It just naturally happens. When arrogant owners think they know better, that's what happens. That's fair. So beautiful. My favourite club is so good. I've just seen that Brighton have equalised. Boom. So Grow, when's the next Moneyball Clinic coming out? Hopefully on Friday. We'll see how we get on. I was recording some elements of it earlier. Didn't like the script. So that's gone back to the drawing board. It does take me a long time for the editing process, so it might be a little bit tight getting out on Friday, but that's the target. We're going to be it's going to be part 1 of what might potentially be up to a 5-episode Moneyball Clinic. So we've got ball over the top, Kari. No, we're going to be taking a look at a team that got relegated. So we set up, we simmed the first season in real world mode, and we're going to take over a team that gets relegated from the Premier League. And we're going to go through the whole process of a rebuild, like a proper rebuild. So it's about stripping out the assets. It's about reducing those costs and accumulating capital. About making sure that we are just good enough for what our goals are, and then adding pieces gradually until we're in a position to finish everything off and spend that accumulated capital to take us over the edge. Should hopefully be quite interesting. The voice. Oh. Thank you for the hydrate, RG. Oh. Conceded another. Okay. There is something to mention about the fact that the goalkeeper, I think all the goals we've conceded have been in the second half. Venturelli we don't think is good enough. Brignoni we think might be okay. Wojciech isn't going to be good enough. Massey's 19 years old. Like, these players all have good future prospects, but there are not great big expectations on them playing a significant part during the course of the season. I am concerned we are trying to teach Siklic how to be a defensive midfielder. He can play there, but he's not natural there. But we are conceding with these guys in defence, so we might need to reassess some of those players as well as we go through things in due course. Right, okay. I've got some. How do I refund points? Bear with me one moment. I'm going to have to redeem that mystery, refund that mystery mini game, DM bassist, I'm afraid, because one, I don't actually have it set up. That's it. I say one. I mean that was one of one. So yeah. But also yeah, I think we're probably going to end after this game as well. Before my voice does actually properly go, because it's probably better before we let it run. So I will do that lookup for Arana. That I'm not happy with that result, but we'll say it anyway. And then we will probably call it quits for the night. There is Juan Carlos Arana. He is currently at Rayo Vallecano. 31 years old, 6-foot striker. Obviously, we're in off season, so we don't have any information about performance so far. And that's why you asked, because he was on loan in your Racing de Santander. Had a great first season, 12 goals in 38 games. Well, a pretty solid one. Then returns back to Eibar, where he's out on the fringes. Started 35 games for Santander. Goes to start only one game the next season in the league. Gets a bit more game time season 3. Scores 7 goals. Season after that, that's a lot better. 17 starts, 17 sub appearances, 12 goals. Cracking player. Cracking season. And then starts to find himself frozen out. Earns himself a move to Rayo Vallecano, where he's barely featured at all. And in fact, hasn't scored since that first season he transferred there. So you've got a database update, so he's officially now and doing very well. Fair enough. Cool. Yeah, we don't have him scouted, so I don't know what he looks like attribute wise. Worth bugger all now, bless him. So shame. Cool. Right, okay. Let's pop on our way. So we'll do the normal thing we do, which is YouTube. Thank you very much, guys. We'll be back Friday evening, 6 p.m. British summertime. Hopefully see you then.